What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It's your boy Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be breaking down for you guys, some honorable mentions to kick us off, some live viewer questions to wrap up the show. So sit back, grab your coffee, and enjoy the ride, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're certainly watching us live here from today. It is I, your host, Adam Perez. We're back with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, joined none other than by my special co-host, as always, Stuart Branscombe in the house. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, not much. Just another week like usual.
I feel you. We were just talking off air about how this holiday season is going to be a little bit busier for you because you've possibly been selected. Well, you have been selected for jury duty. Whether or not you find yourself on the jury is another matter. Is this? I meant to ask you. Is this your first jury duty or no?
My first time getting this far into it, because
Okay.
like in the past, it's like when I've been selected, usually like the moment I get there, it's like I'm in a room for 2 hours, and then because this is the first criminal case I've been summoned for. So with the other two, they've always been civil cases, so they usually settle the moment like they hear a jury's coming in. But yeah, with this one, it's a criminal case, and yeah, they're selecting kind of one at a time. It's been interesting. It's like a part of me is like still doesn't want to do it because I know it's gonna like affect my paycheck. Even though my work does comp me for jury duty, I imagine that doesn't include the tip pool. So I feel like either way, I'm probably going to be losing money. So on that hand, I kind of don't want to be selected, but on the other hand, this is a pretty cool new experience for me. So it's like, I don't know. I'm just, I think like when I got selected originally, I wanted to kind of play dumb and hope that they wouldn't select me. But like now, kind of seeing as how far I'm getting into this, I'm like, you know what? I kind of do want to be on the jury.
Yeah, I was telling you, I haven't been I haven't been that far into like actually making it to the case. I was in the part of questioning the jurors to see if they want to select you for the case, but I wind up getting dismissed. So I never really made it that far. But one day I personally would like to, especially if you're going through something like a criminal experience. I would be kind of curious as to finding out like just what that case is like and having a hand in the verdict. I find that kind of stuff really just fascinating. But
Yeah. Well, for
yeah,
sure.
that's cool,
Like,
man.
obviously, I can't say anything right now, but I believe once the case is over, I'm allowed to talk about it. So, yeah, once it's over, I'll be happy to tell you what the whole like kind of process was kind of like.
Got our own Perry Mason here. So yeah, let us know, Stuart, when you get a chance, buddy.
Yeah.
But good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We got some incredible topics for you guys today. We had some massive trailers that wind up dropping here this week, also, that we're definitely going to be talking about. So this episode will not be monetized. I can almost guarantee you that. But I do ask the studio and production gods above, please do not block this video. We are just reacting to it and talking about it to promote the content. So yeah, as always, this is not our footage, but studio's footage. But we definitely will be going through some trailers for you guys today, and then of course getting to your guys' live viewer questions at the tail end. We're probably going to talk a little lanterns. Going to talk a little bit about Avatar: The Last Airbender and the 2 big trailers that wind up dropping here this week. Also, Supergirl and Street Fighter, along with a couple of articles for you guys. So look forward to today's episode. And of course, look, remember, at the end of the day, these are simply our A-plus opinions. We always want to know yours. So as we go live through these topics, if you have any points of discussion, things that you want to go ahead and add to the conversation, please do so in the live chat. We'll definitely bring up your comments and certainly discuss it with you as well. We always love having conversations, not just amongst ourselves, but with you guys as well. So feel free to let your thoughts be known in the live chat today as we get through some of these topics. So Stuart, let's go ahead and shout out to some people that have joined us live today. Ricky Perez in the house. They just saw the official trailer for the Supergirl movie, and it was amazing. Glad you liked it, Ricky. I appreciate that, man. 25th 2025 Game Awards. They shown a 30-second trailer for Super Mario Galaxy movie. New footage of Bowser Jr. battling Mario and Luigi. I have not seen that. Is that around the internet somewhere? I have not seen that. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I hadn't seen it that day. Ricky Perez also yesterday, Nickelodeon just aired the second half of new episodes of the first season of Tales of the TMNT. Season 2 has just released on Friday. Very cool. The final season of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way. Also, last week, Zootopia 2 and Elio are both nominated for Best Motion Picture, along with Dream is One, performed by Miley Cyrus from Avatar Fire and Ash for Best Original Song Motion Picture. The movie hasn't even come out yet. I'm assuming I know they did release the music video, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but the movie hasn't even been released yet. But I guess as long as the music video is out there, I guess you can still be nominated.
That's weird to me because I feel like you don't really know the full emotional impact of a song until you like see it in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Wicked for Good, along with Zootopia 2 and Avatar Fire and Ash, has been nominated for Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. The global awards will be left. Fire and Ash hasn't even come out yet. What are we doing? Well, I mean, I guess I guess cinematic. I mean, box office achievement. Man was just like, this movie's already going to make a couple billion, so let's just put it out there. I mean, granted, Avatar movies are always great cinematic experiences, but we haven't even seen the movie yet, guys. What are we nominating them for? Crazy stuff.
Yeah. It's like it gives me more or less and less reasons to like actually trust movie awards now.
Right? Speaking of Avatar Fire and Ash, did you hear that they are planning on releasing Avenger Doomsday trailers in front of them? Not just one,
Ooh.
not just one, not just two, not just three, but four. Four. They apparently are, from what I've been hearing, is that uh every week that Avatar Fire and Ash is out, they will be dropping a different Avengers Doomsday trailer. So the week of December 19th is going to be a first one. The following week is going to be a second one, which will be different. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe these are like 30-second clips or something, like 30-second kind of teases here and there. But you have to
Yeah.
literally go see Avatar Fire and Ash 4 times in order to see all of these previews that they have. I'm wondering if they'll ever release them out in theaters or not, or online or not, or if they will force you to go to the movies.
I hope they get released online, but yeah, I could see this as being like a Disney trick in order to get people to like see the movie multiple times.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's meant for those people that were probably going to see it a second time anyways, but they were kind of on the fence about it. So then they're like, "Oh, we'll throw in another teaser if you go see it again." Okay,
Yeah,
okay, you win.
I might miss out on the first teaser just because I think we're waiting to see Avatar in on Christmas. I think we're gonna try and make it a Christmas Day movie that we see. We got Blossom in the house. Good to see you as always, Blossom. Thank you so much for coming through. It's almost Christmas time, which it's time for watch HBO's Santa Inc. and time for Adam to resume it. I really don't want to resume it, Marcelino. I didn't care for the first episode, man. I really don't. Don't make me, please. There's so many other Christmas movies I gotta check out this year. We haven't really started too much. Peg C in the house. What's going on, Peg C? Appreciate you coming through. Washington says, why do you have 2 live streams going on at once? It's really for the preference of how you like to watch your watches episodically. If you like it in the vertical format or the horizontal format, whatever you prefer, really, it's just more options. Ali, I'm just gonna call you Ali. I'm just gonna call you Ali. Ali. What's up, Ali? Appreciate you coming through today. Thank you so much. First time, maybe first time viewer, not sure, but I appreciate you coming through today. I got better things to use my money on than watch Avatar 4 times and use my money better. Hey, I don't blame you, Marcelino. I don't blame you. 4 times is kind of ridiculous, but that's how they trap you, man. That's how they trap you and have you come back for more. I was even thinking about doing a The Odyssey is playing. They have a 5-minute preview of the Odyssey currently in theaters right now. If you go and see the Sinners, or was it One Fight After Another or something? Oh, One Battle
One
After
battle
Another.
after another, yeah.
If you watch it in the 70 millimeter format, there is an Odyssey preview for you guys.
Ooh.
So talk about revisiting movies countless times. If you want to see Sinners or One Battle After Another again, make sure to find a 70 millimeter feature of that movie, and you'll get to see a 5-minute tease of the upcoming Christopher Nolan Odyssey film.
So I gotta say, obviously, I'm still going to see it when it comes out into theaters, unless like a trailer comes out and it looks really bad. But I am very, very disappointed with the Odyssey, and learning that apparently it's not going to have any of the mystical elements from the original Odyssey. So
What?
and this is all like this is all just like from what I heard. So
I
maybe
swear
I'm
there's
hoping,
got
yeah,
to be a Cyclops in there.
yeah, exactly. Like if
I'm
there's
pretty sure there's a Cyclops, bro. I'm
yeah,
pretty
if there's
sure.
no Cyclops, no Poseidon, no like any of that, it's like that. It's just not the Odyssey, to my opinion.
It's
It's
Christopher Nolan, bro. It'll
yeah.
be in this movie.
I hope so. Like so I hope that's just like an internet rumor, because if that's true, that's just a major letdown. Like, yeah, I get it. Christopher Nolan, he got famous because he made Batman realistic, but you don't need to make everything realistic, especially not something like the Odyssey. I mean,
Yeah.
Interstellar was great, but no one liked it because it was realistic. It was just a great movie. Like I mean, I'm sure there was some like some like real science that was put into it, but it's not like, in real life, wormholes just magically appear in our solar system. So it's like, I don't know. It'll disappoint me if that turns out to be true. I'll still probably see it, but dear God, I hope it's not true.
Yeah, I hope it's not true. Because when they said the Odyssey, that's the first thing that I thought of. Like, man, Christopher Nolan gonna have some amazing actors, and he's gonna be doing sort of like the mythological side of it too. Like that just sounds like really appealing to me. So there's a part of me that I feel like there's just no way. Like there's just no way that's possible. But we'll see. We'll see
It
what the
seems
final
like
product is.
such a bad decision that it almost feels impossible for someone like Christopher Nolan to make that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Sebastian coming through. Thank you so much, Sebastian. I think first time viewer. Also, we got some new eyes on the channel here today, so I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, again, continue to flood us with your live comments if you want to. I don't speak French, Sebastian, so I apologize in advance. I don't think there's a translator here on YouTube. There certainly needs to be. But feel free to submit any live comments that you want. And Stuart, we will kick off the show with our first segment of the day. And that will take us to our honorable mentions portion of the show. If this is your first time watching the show, honorable mentions is just topics that didn't quite make our top 6 to talk about, but we still felt you guys deserve to know about them. Stuart, I don't know if you have an honorable mention here today or not, by any chance.
Yeah, for those of you who are sick of me talking about South Park, I promise this is gonna be my last time for a while, because the season finale just aired. While
Oh,
a lot of
really? I
people,
didn't know that.
yeah. It was finally, after like the whole like Donald Trump like story arc, they finally brought it all to a close, and a lot of people were kind of underwhelmed by it, and I kind of get where they're coming from. There's like this whole weird side plot like that happened a couple episodes ago, where like they like turn Jesus into a MAGA Christian, but then he kind of turns back into regular South Park Jesus by the end of it. But it happened so rushed. Like it took just one speech from Stan for Jesus to go, wow, you're right. I have been a dick, Stan. Which I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of fast. But what I loved about it is they brought back some of my favorite characters that we haven't seen in a long time. The woodland critter, the woodland Christmas critters from the Woodland Critter Christmas special from like way back in the day. So I absolutely loved seeing those characters again. Yeah, it was just it was a good season finale. I think not a great one, but a decent one.
Okay, nice, nice. Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to check out South Park this season, so your commentary on it has been great throughout the season. So I appreciate it, Stuart. A couple other honorable mentions. We did get ourselves our very first look this week, also at Lanterns. Finally, we have been eagerly anticipating just some kind of look. Like this is literally the only official image that they have ever released for Lanterns so far. I don't remember when this released. Maybe like March or April or something. Some crazy, like maybe June, something crazy. But we finally wind up getting our very first look at Lanterns here this week. HBO Max wind up dropping a what to look forward to, like a preview for 2026, and we got some first look footage of it. So do you have the 10-second trailer by any chance?
I do indeed.
Let's pull that up and check out that. Again, this is really brief stuff, guys. Really brief.
There we go. Yeah, very brief, like they usually do with the HBO. It's like only about 10 seconds, but here we go.
I trained my entire life for this.
You're not ready to get up in front of the class until Doreen says you are.
Sir. Oh yeah, a couple more seconds.
Yeah, that was it. It was like literally the tail end of their 2-minute trailer. To me, that definitely suggests you can go ahead and close it down. That definitely suggests the idea that yes, this season is very much coming towards the late summertime for sure. But look, kind of cool to kind of see some brand new images in here. I like already getting an opportunity to see the just the dialogue between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan in here. Kyle Chandler definitely doing the Maverick aspect of Hal Jordan and forcing his recruit to survive on the whim. Good luck, buddy. And just leaving him out there with his power ring on the dashboard. It's very Hal Jordan-esque to me, to be quite frank with you. But visually, it looks pretty clean, though, man. It definitely looks like it's going to be one of those prestige HBO Max original kind of thing. But I definitely would have loved to have seen more. But I think what they did tease us with, is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's they gave us more in that like kind of few seconds than we got like in if I remember correctly, back when they released they had a similar thing with Watchmen back in the day, the Watchmen TV show when it was releasing. I remember my disappointment with it was that if you had just shown me that footage without the Watchmen logo on it, I would never guess that was supposed to be, for the Watchmen show. With this, though, I think, just knowing obviously, I think if I didn't know who the actors were, I might not know what the show was supposed to be, but knowing who the actors are playing and then just seeing that little clip, I think it gave us a good amount of detail of what we can expect in the show. I think the one thing I would have liked to have seen more of, though, was like a line or two from Jon Stewart. Because I think just from that 30-second, or that like not even 30 seconds, that like 10 seconds we got of Hal Jordan, we already have a good idea of his character from just that like small interaction. But because we don't really see Jon Stewart's full reaction to it, it kind of cuts away before we could see how he reacts to the situation that Hal Jordan just put him in. We still don't really know too much about his character. But like from Hal Jordan's side, like I loved that whole like part of him.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if when he does jump out of the car, it is cool to see John like react to like trying to grab the wheel sort of thing. But in my head, I'm just thinking to myself, like at the end of this clip, when the car goes off the edge, there's a part of me that's like, man, I bet that next shot is like Hal looking over the corner, and then you seeing like some sort of like construct or something like that that John has put together to kind of save his life. Or who knows, maybe the maybe the car does go off the edge and it gets into a terrible accident, because we've seen like, I think I've seen like an image of him like in hospital gown or something like that once. So I do wonder if that's the aftermath of this. Maybe he didn't go Jon Stewart's way. But there is also another line in this when Jon Stewart says, I've trained for this my whole life. And I think we get to see what looks like maybe like a military barracks or whatever building that they kind of walk into. So I will be interested to kind of see his backstory, John's backstory, what origin they kind of go with. I do know that they have cast for John Stewart's mother and father, so I definitely expect some flashback sequences in here. But nice little tease for something that we're not going to get until late summer next year. But oh, and also this week, Peter Safran did explain why it was taking so long for the series, or why the delay for the series. And he says it was about when it made sense for it to be released, so HBO Max could get the right lead in, the right promotion, because it's an important show for everybody, and the show is going to be great. It was about the right timing, so it's late summer, but there's a reason for it. So it sounds more marketing and promotion wise, because we did talk about the idea, like if this came out in like January, the ramp up for this show would have to be super quick in regards to trailers and promotions for it. So the ramp up, I think, for something releasing in the late summer 2026, I do think HBO Max does a good job when it comes to their marketing and promotions of stuff as it gets closer. So I do expect them to have an interesting marketing package for Lanterns, but that's what Peter Safran explained to us.
Yeah, that's something that I think James Gunn has been pretty transparent about ever since he took over, is that he has like zero control on the actual release date of movies. He can control like when a movie starts production and everything, but like how a movie gets released, when it gets released, that's all Warner Brothers.
We also had another honorable mention here for you guys today. Real quick, it looks as though Jennifer Lawrence is coming back for the next Hunger Games. Not just Jennifer Lawrence, but also her co-host, her co-lead Josh Hutcherson is coming back. Deadline confirmed this week that Hunger Games canon stars Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson are returning for Sunrise of the Reaping. While the prequel is set in the world of Pan Am 24 years before the events, there is a scene in the book um, where they listen to Haymitch recount his Hunger Games to them. So they may have a brief cameo in this movie where they're talking to Haymitch, and it kind of maybe leads into the story itself. So yeah, they are returning.
That's okay. That actually makes sense then. I wonder if that means that Woody Harrelson would also be there to retell a story.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that he is. I don't know if they've had any casting news for him to come back or not. It's been so long since this stuff was announced, so maybe they have, but we'll keep you guys posted. But I thought that was kind of cool that they plan on returning. Um, we also got some other news here in regards to the Tomb Raider series. Sigourney Weaver is circling a particular role in the live action Tomb Raider series. They've already casted Sophie Turner to go ahead and play Laura Croft, but Deadline is also reporting that Sigourney Weaver has her sights on joining Tomb Raider. She's in talks to join the upcoming Tomb Raider series. Although Prime Video had no comment on the Weaver news, and it is unknown as to who Sigourney Weaver would currently be playing. But that's a great big name star. She's from Aliens to she's also going to be in the Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu movie, and now she's also in Avatar, Fire and Ash, and now she's going to be in Tomb Raider. Sigourney Weaver's attaching herself to some big franchises these days. But yeah, she is circling the idea of possibly being in the Tomb Raider series. I think production begins like January, if I'm not mistaken. I think it begins pretty soon. Yeah, January 19th as the start of production. So yeah, I think she's probably going to be in it then.
Okay.
And then last but not least, Stuart, we did get ourselves a brand new poster here this week for the last Airbender, Avatar Season 2. There's no release date yet set for Season 2. I do know that they have renewed Season 2 and 3. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're doing production sort of back to back. But we did get ourselves a brand new poster here. It just says returns 2026. No release date yet, but we did get ourselves a brief Last Airbender trailer for Season 2. Do you got that one also, Stu?
I do indeed.
Let me pull this up.
Everything is vibrating. All around us. The world is turning. There is a secret life beneath us.
Damn.
We're all connected through the earth.
Oh, that's so dope. Nice.
Okay, one thing I gotta point out real quick. Hang on. I gotta find the right frame. Because in this, her introduction looks like it's following the shows where
Oh,
she's
yeah?
like in a arena doing a rock bending with other contestants, and we don't see who she's going up against, but there was we don't see his face, but there was a fan theory that people had, or not theory, there was a fan casting, I should say, that people had, because the guy that she goes against, he calls himself the Boulder. The Boulder doesn't quit a fight, and people thought it would be so funny to have him be played by John Cena. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm like, they don't show his face. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe they're waiting for a big reveal.
John Cena. That'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah, John Cena as the Boulder. That would be great. And if not the Boulder, there's another casting that I think would be perfect for him. So basically in season 3, they do a recap episode where the group goes to a play, and this play is literally like a full retelling of Avatar. And Toph is being played by a muscular man. And that's the other role I could see John Cena doing if he's playing the actor that plays Toph. Like, I think either one would be freaking hilarious. But the trailer itself, okay, so this was something that, even though I was the biggest fan of season 1, I have to compliment season 1 for this, and that is, I think I think it visually looked incredible.
Yes.
I think that it captured the look of the show to a great, to like a degree that like the M. Night Shyamalan movie totally failed to do. And where it failed, however, I feel like is when it came to the writing. I just didn't think it was a very well written show, unfortunately. Which is why I came up with the joke of the Last Airbender is what happens when you take a talented writer and director, but he doesn't give a shit about the source material. Whereas this show, it's like you take some writers that are very new, clearly don't have the talent that M. Night Shyamalan did, but they clearly love the show. So it's one of those things where I'm hoping season 2 just kind of improves, because it's not like season 1 was like really that bad. It just didn't do anything like the changes it made it more underwhelming, rather than feeling like changes that needed to be made for a live action show. It felt like changes were made for the sake of making them, not because it actually added anything to the story. So I hope that changes with season 2. The one thing I will give the writers credit for planning this, because me as a writer, I probably wouldn't have, because I thought this was like one of the bigger important aspects of the show. And when they changed it, I thought it was dumb at first, but now seeing this trailer, I get it. And that is Sozin's Comet not having a specific date on when we're going to be seeing Sozin's Comet. In the show, we knew exactly when it was going to happen, and that was like the time crunch that our team had. I get it though. Looking at this trailer, these kids are no longer like as young as they were. So it's like, I get it now why they had to change that and not make it a time crunch like it was in the animated series. So I will give the writers credit. That is impressive that they thought that far ahead. So yes, I'm definitely going to be checking this out. Again, while I was disappointed in season 1, I didn't hate it. And I do think that there is definitely room for improvement. So I really hope the writers kind of listen to some of the issues that people had with season 1 and can do just enough tweaking, course correcting to make season 2 the live action Avatar show that, us fans really want to see.
Yeah, they definitely have had the time to make any tweaks if they certainly wanted to. I would agree. I think for me, when I watched the trailer, I'm just like, damn, like visually, everything is just really spot on. I am surprised as to just how quick these kids have definitely grown. I mean, Aang looks like a grown ass man, barely. Like he's like he definitely hit puberty for sure. My man just sprouted. He looks older already. So I will be interested. Look, I don't think I finished season one just because I just wasn't that impressed from a storytelling perspective. But I may give it a rewatch because I mean with the arrival of Toph and just how like popular of a character that is, and everybody really waiting to kind of see the introduction. I may try and give season one a rewatch to prepare for this. I probably have some time because I have no idea when in 2026 this is certainly going to drop as of yet. But it definitely seems like a trailer that's definitely going to get people hyped that decided to stick around for all of season one, or may think about revisiting it for a particular character's introduction. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Or you can just watch the animated show. You know, that's always an option. Just saying.
Yeah, that I could do that too. I could do that too. Yeah. Yeah, because I know I will say that for the few episodes that I did watch, I did really enjoy it. It's just I just so much television to watch, dude. Like this, like I literally yesterday just finished Stranger Things Volume 1 yesterday. Like it's
Oh
taken me that
yes.
long to finish it. But yeah. But anyway, guys, Marcelino says that the teaser for Lanterns didn't impress me. It felt nothing like Green Lantern. Understandable. I don't know. I don't know what the vast majority of people on X were saying. I guess it really depends on what your algorithm is like. If you tend to have a more positive or negative one that you flood yourself with on a daily basis. But I will say I feel like I'm seeing more appreciation pieces for it. But I am seeing some people that are just like, I was too short. It didn't really give me what I was hoping or kind of looking to see. But I thought from at least maybe visually didn't give people what they wanted to see, but I think from a character perspective, I think it shows me that they understand the character fairly well just in that 10-second clip. So I am very eager to kind of see how much it expands on. But yeah. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and tackle these main topics with me today, man?
I am indeed.
We got some incredible topics for you guys today. We got some additional trailers to drop. We got Supergirl we're going to look at briefly to kick off our show. We got a Street Fighter teaser trailer as well, both of them dropping the same day, if I'm not mistaken. Daisy Ridley is back in the news. Not only does she have a zombie movie set to go ahead and release in early January, but she's talking a little bit more about the revelation of The Hunt for Ben Solo. We also got some 28 years later talk for you guys, and maybe even some more DCU talk as well. So, Stuart, let's go ahead and kick off this show, man, with our first topic of the day, and that will, in fact, be Supergirl, baby. We got ourselves a brand new poster for Supergirl here this week. Some really cool wallpaper art also. As it is time to be introduced to Kara Zor-El in the DCU. The film for Supergirl is set to go ahead and drop June 26th, 2026. So a summer, a blockbuster to say the least. We've been highly anticipating exactly what this movie is going to look like. And the other day, we got our very first teaser trailer. I don't know how long the teaser trailer certainly was. If you missed it, don't worry, we'll show it to you. Warner Brothers DC Studios, please go nice on us here. Please do not demonetize us, but or block us, I should say. But
Yeah.
Stuart, if you got that teaser trailer, let's pull that up.
I do indeed.
That needle drop. Thanks, Crypto. The disrespect, bro.
You know, I could see people saying that.
This time. Good job.
I, Kara Zor-El,
clear. The 23 will be the best year yet. Let's be honest, babe. It's not a very high bar to clear.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind. Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Do you have this on your planet? Have cows like you?
No, it's a pretty small group of two.
What's this like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
Nice, dude. So look, I already talked about the trailer. I did a trailer review up on the YouTube channel. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I did drop one the day that it wound up releasing in my car. So I'll share some more thoughts with you guys, but I do want to get your thoughts on the trailer itself, Stuart. From first look impressions, we've been waiting a really long time for this. Just a peek at this. What are some of the things that popped out to you? Is there anything you didn't care for? Anything that really got you hyped? I'm really kind of curious to know what your reaction to the first trailer was.
I think if there was like one thing to nitpick is that it didn't show me anything I didn't already expect to see in this movie. Like when you kind of know the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, and when you know like kind of the pitch that they were going for, plus just looking at the ending of Superman, it pretty much showed you exactly what you were kind of expecting to see from this. But that's not a bad thing, because it still looks like it's going to be a really fun sci-fi action movie. Her art kind of reminds me of Star-Lord in a little bit of a way, in the sense that like they both have they both start the movie broken with having lost so much, and therefore kind of like I don't think we see like where her, like, she's definitely attached to crypto, but it kind of, she gives off the impression to me anyways that she keeps like an arm's length distance from the people around her. Where I think their arcs are going to differ though is that Star-Lord kind of started to fix himself when he found like a family, basically when he had his found family, a whole group, a support group in a way. Whereas her, I think it's going to be through protecting one other person. That's going to be what helps her kind of that's going to be her kind of therapy, like having the group is what helps Star-Lord. Going out of her way to help someone else, that's going to be what kind of helps her. So I think that's going to make for a really cool movie, honestly. I think that the effects, the visuals look absolutely incredible. And of course, I'm sure you all saw how excited I got from that like 2-second tease we got of Lobo. We don't even see his
too short.
Yeah, way too short. We get like, we barely see his face, but already I'm like, yes, there's my Jason Momoa. So yeah, like I think that like it's so funny because if you were to show me the trailer for Superman and then you showed me the trailer for Supergirl and I had to guess which one James Gunn actually directed, I would have assumed this one. This one honestly feels like it's kind of going for a James Gunn vibe. And I don't mean that in a bad way, just like in the way I don't know, just something about the humor and the sci-fi visuals very much give off a James Gunn vibe. But yeah, no, I think this trailer was great. Showed me everything I wanted to see. My only hope is that I hope the movie does something a little bit different that I'm not expecting, but actually there was one thing it showed me that I didn't expect. We actually get it looks like we're going to be getting a more visual like representation of what happened to Krypton rather than it being just like the flashbacks mentioned by Kal-El in Superman. So I am wondering like how much we're going to see and if that gets expanded more in the actual movie or if it's just like that 2 seconds we see in the trailer. That's all we see. But I am really excited to kind of get a little more intel on, her perspective on Krypton. She mentions not losing everyone in a day, meaning like, and we even see like the little barrier around Argo City. So I do wonder if she was like, finally after getting over the loss of her planet, she was able to cope with it because she had her new family, but then suddenly something happens and she loses Argo City and her along with her new family, and then that's what leads her to Earth or something like that. Yeah, it's so many. This movie has a lot going for it in terms of like what we could expect to see in terms of her origins and in terms of Krypton. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say for me, while I enjoyed the trailer, I found it just okay for me. I found it good for me. I don't know if it did anything to get me more hyped outside of like the Lobo tease. I thought was really cool. I wanted more of it though, man. But like just seeing the cigar, like you just know Jason Momoa is gonna own that role. Finally getting the opportunity to see her briefly in her super suit, I thought was pretty dope. Also, there are a couple things that really kind of like that I did enjoy hints at, like the fact that, and I'm assuming that she's on Earth when she's sitting at the bus stop. Like if she is on Earth, like the idea that there is an intergalactic bus travel system in this universe is just really cool to me. Like just stay here at this bus station, a spaceship will come down and take you. If you want to travel to another planet, you have the option to do so. Like just that like public transportation for the galaxy is pretty dope to me. I'm not gonna lie. It's also cool to kind of see her in the situation where her powers aren't necessarily maybe at full peak in certain situations. The fact that she is kind of on a red sun, it looks like when she's battling maybe the henchmen or whoever the guys are, I'm sure she has her way with them, but maybe it's not necessarily as easy as it certainly looks like. There's a shot where she like takes Ruthie and she flies through the window, but then the next shot is her like tumbling down and stuff, right? So it's like maybe she forgets that her powers aren't necessarily at the fullest effect in that particular moment. So it's going to be kind of cool to kind of see how she balances that throughout the movie. I thought the Argo City and Krypton stuff was really great. It is one of those things like the she had two great lines in this movie. The one when in this trailer when she talks about the gods would have been kind if they let Krypton die in a day, meaning that she literally visually had to like watch her planet. Like who knows how long Krypton was on its last legs, and the people that she knew and loved, fighting for their lives to survive and then ultimately die and perish. So to be able to have to watch that for a particular period of time, I'm hoping that they really showcase that well in the movie. And I also love the line when Ruthie's asking about Superman and she says, he sees the good in people, I see the truth. I think that's like the best line in this entire thing, in this entire trailer. But I think for me, and you touched upon this, had you looked at Supergirl and Superman trailers side by side, you would have sworn Supergirl was a James Gunn movie. And while I personally don't have a problem with it, I just don't know if that's the message I want to get across when it comes to my first look, at least when it comes to Supergirl. Like I love the trailer and stuff. Like I love the soundtrack for the trailer. But I don't know if I mean, look, maybe for the general audience, the concept of, hey, this kind of feels like Guardians of the Galaxy or like a James Gunn movie, maybe that'll be kind of appealing to some people. But when you already have so many people saying, man, I really want a DCU movie that's not going to feel like a James Gunn movie, right? Like, I think people are waiting to see what DC Studios can do outside of like what James Gunn's vision is. And again, just to be fair, this is not written by James Gunn. It is not directed by James Gunn. But I swear, I tell you, I think James Gunn was in that editing booth putting this trailer together because it just felt like James Gunn-isms sort of like all over the place. And so I'm personally hoping that when we get to the official trailer of it, it comes with the completely different style to it. Like I really want them to emphasize other aspects of what this movie and the story can be, where they can really sink their teeth into. So again, I didn't hate the trailer. I was just hoping, I think maybe my expectations was hoping that if this is not written or directed by James Gunn, I don't want the teaser trailer to feel like a James Gunn movie, and it totally did to me. And again, for good or bad, we'll see. But I'm hoping that they utilize the next couple of trailers for this movie to give us a different tone and vibe to what this movie could potentially be, to even boost my excitement level that much more for this, because I'm already there. Like I'm already ready to see this movie. Okay, I'm just saying that the trailer for me didn't do too much more to get me super excited. Although there are a couple of highlights here and there that I definitely do appreciate. Marcelino did mention the change to the main villain in Creme of the Yellow Hills. In the comics, he looks more like He-Man, but they made him a stubby monster. Gunn said it was to fit the theme of monsters and gods for this particular saga. Yeah, if anything, that would probably be my only complaint. Now, I haven't read the book itself, but I have seen images of him, and it's like night and day between the character designs here. But I am wondering if I don't know if you've read it either, Stuart. Have you read Woman of Tomorrow?
So I read the first couple chapters. I have the first volume like with us, but like my fiance wants to read it first, and then once she's done, then I'm going to finish it.
I am just kind of curious if they could have pulled off a design for Krem similar to the comic book and still made him as appealing from a villain standpoint visually for the movies also. I'm just fascinated to see like where that balance is, because when I watch it, I just think to myself, oh, they're just average space henchmen, you know. It just feels like a copy and paste sort of thing to me, and I really would have loved to have seen something unique. But who knows, maybe personality wise for Krem, maybe he showcases something a little bit more to me when we get to the movie itself. But yeah, guys, I'm kind of curious to know your thoughts on it. And by the way, James Gunn did have some comments that I want to share with you guys here from, I'm sorry if you hear my son yelling in the background. I don't know if you're picking up on that. But the James Gunn weighs in on the Supergirl movie, saying James Gunn says Supergirl is finally allowed to be messy like male superheroes have been for a while, he suggests. He says, Cora Zor-El introduced herself to us last summer by crashing into the Fortress of Solitude. She took a more polite path to the fore last Sunday, emerging onto a small stage, wide-eyed and slightly amused. It's going to happen. Shit, said Millie Alcock. You can forgive the actress her wonderment. Supergirl has had a long flight to the present. It says, so long ago did this all start, of course, that the House of the Dragon Star wasn't initially cast as the character. That honor belonged to Sasha Calle back in 2023's The Flash. Anna Nogueira's script, inspired by the comic book Supergirl Women of Tomorrow, leans hard into the character's messiness. This is what the director said. He says, this is really an anti-hero story. She's got a lot of demons, a lot of baggage coming into this, which is very different from where Superman is in his life, is what Craig Gillespie wind up saying. Gunn also added, so many times female superheroes are so perfect. She's not that at all. Like male superheroes have been allowed to be for a while. The character showed her unvarnished side on screen at one point, noting that Superman sees the good in everyone, and I see the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they referring to.
Yeah, it's I think like kind of looking back, because like we're talking about how similar it feels to like Guardians of the Galaxy just from the trailer. I think it's like less that James Gunn had control over this movie and more of just he chose this particular writer because they had similar interests or a similar vision on where the character would be taken. But yeah, I think that like I would be a little more worried, honestly, if this was so far the only thing we got in terms of like DCU outside James Gunn. But I think it's because we got that Lanterns teaser as well, which very much felt tonally completely outside
Yes,
of
that's
James
true.
Gunn's ballpark.
That's
But it's
true.
coming out the same year, so I think that's what kind of gets me less worried about the whole like it feeling too similar.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think the whole movie is gonna feel that way. There's a part of me, like I said, I just think James Gunn was maybe in the editing booth when putting this one together, sort of thing, for first impressions. But I do have a feeling that when the movie actually hits, it will feel significantly different. I'm sure it has some elements of the cosmos and having fun and things like that. But I do think I'm hoping that the seriousness of the story elements will certainly prevail. I mean, like Craig Gillespie says, this is really sort of an anti-hero story. She's got a lot of demons, a lot of baggage coming into this, which is very different from where Superman is in his life. So I'm really hoping that they showcase that a lot in this movie. I gotta tell you, man, posting this trailer on our Facebook page has not been very kind. Like, people are not very kind about this movie at all immediately.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had some people that, there are some positive things in there, but I feel like as the trailer stays up on our Facebook page a long period of time, that's when the anti DCU people really start kind of like rolling on it in. I've heard people talk about how ugly she is, calling her a WHORE, talking about, oh, she's, from this first trailer alone, I can tell that she's not going to be a good role model and stuff, or a good influence. And I'm just like, really, bro? Like, it really bewilders me as to how like grown men are literally saying this stuff before even watching a movie. Like, it shouldn't come as a surprise to me, but it still does, that
Yeah.
people have the audacity to say stupid shit like that, honestly.
As even my fiance who never watched the show said, if people want that version of Supergirl, they can just watch the CW
Yeah,
version.
I was like, bro, we got like it's just not Supergirl to me. Well, go watch the CW version of, like, there's a whole like 5 seasons for you to watch, dude. Like, I mean, and it's just funny to me that if people just don't understand. And I don't want to say they don't understand, because I think a lot of people also just blatantly disregard just the idea of like what the purpose of character arcs are.
Yeah.
The idea of where somebody starts is not the same place as to where they end up, or the message that they can give to people who watch the movie in regards to seeing their own path to maybe some level of recovery. I don't know where Supergirl really ends at the end of this movie, to be fair for you, but just to judge somebody, or just judge a character based off of literally a 2-minute teaser trailer and not know where their character journey ends is kind of ridiculous to me. I was having a Facebook argument with somebody who said that she's not a good I can tell already from the teaser trailer that she's not going to be a good role model because of her drinking and how messy she is from this time. I'm like, I was like, so wait, so is this your first time ever watching a movie? Like, do you not understand character arcs and where character journeys take you? Like, you literally think she's a bad influence based off of what you see from 2 minutes in the beginning of a movie? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. It just sets the tone. That's all I really need to see. I was like, with your mindset, Peter Parker is a douchebag, then, my
Yeah.
guy. Like, Peter Parker is like the worst superhero possible. Like, what a shitty role model. The guy, for selfish reasons, let a robber pass by him that went on and later killed his uncle. Like, if I literally judged Peter Parker and Spider-Man from that one action without understanding his character journey or letting his character journey breathe, I would never even get to with great power comes great responsibility. Like, it's just the mindset that these people have because of just this, I don't know, this hate, or just this unwillingness to allow characters to grow, especially female characters, unfortunately. So I don't know what their insecurity is with females these days, but it's kind of disgusting. Like, men, we have to do better. That's all I'm just gonna say. We have to do better and not let these mouth breathers prevail. But yeah, it's just stupid shit like that people say.
I think the thing that annoys me the most about that kind of mindset is that if they had given us the Supergirl that they're describing, right? So let's like say that she comes off a lot more like Melissa Benoist's version of Supergirl in this trailer. Undoubtedly, those same people would then be going, "Oh my God, why is she such a Mary Sue? Oh wow, so women aren't allowed to have any problems now? What?"
Yeah,
Like undoubtedly, and it would be
yeah,
coming from the exact same people.
exact same people.
Undoubtedly.
Exact same people. Yeah. Oh gosh, they can't do anything different. Why can't they give us a different version? This one is just so boring. Like, I mean,
she's too much like Melissa Benoist.
yeah. Oh, it's just the CW version, guys. Like, yeah. I mean, you can't win with these. They gotta find every yeah. They always gotta pick the opposite side all the time. It just drives me crazy, dude. It drives me crazy. I will say this though. Millie Alcock did drop a little bit of some information for us here this week, also confirming that her cousin is going to be in this movie. Games Radar says Superman confirmed to appear in Supergirl as Millie Alcock reveals her first day on set was opposite David Cornsweet. Ahead of Supergirl trailer dropping, House of Dragon star was asked at the press conference to reflect on the superhero flick's toughest scene to shoot. She says, "Oh my God, it was with Superman," she says. and I wasn't in the suit and I was speaking a different language. Alcock replied. "Yeah, that day was really hard. It was like 2 degrees. He jumped right in the deep end. Yeah, that was a hard day. The whole scene was in Kryptonian. The whole scene was Kryptonian." So I find that really interesting. It does make me kind of curious if something like this takes place in the beginning of the movie or towards the end. She says she wasn't in her suit. So when I look at the trailer before she gets on this galactic space bus, she is just kind of dressed in her own attire sort of thing. So I do wonder if there's a moment where her and Clark kind of have a Kryptonian conversation about maybe, you got to get your life together, girl. Like you're kind of a mess right now. Or maybe, they're reflecting over the loss of Krypton and maybe how it's impacted her sort of thing before she winds up leaving. Or maybe, sometimes they do like to film ends of movies first sort of thing. So maybe this is a conversation that they wind up having towards the end also. But the idea of Superman being in this movie and the idea of it being filmed with them speaking Kryptonian, I find that really intriguing, and I really want to know what that conversation is certainly going to be like, and whether that's the beginning of the movie or the end. But what do you think about this revelation here, Stu?
I think it's going to be both. Also, before I get into why I want to say, when you said Amelia Alcock's cousin, for some reason my mind thought, wait, who's her cousin? Is he a famous actor? And then realizing, oh wow, her in-universe cousin. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a little bit of both. Like, I think we're going to have like kind of a moment between the. I think like it was one scene that they filmed together, but it's able to be divided into two, if that makes sense. So it'll be like kind of that moment of we see him at the beginning of the movie as she's about to like take off her 23rd birthday, him like kind of wishing her well and telling her, not necessarily judging, but like being a good cousin, saying, hey, maybe after this I could take you to AA or something like that, trying to be there without being pushy. That's kind of the role I expect him to play in the very beginning. And then at the very end, I feel like that's when they're going to have kind of their moment of like kind of I don't want to say Amelia Alcock being like, oh, you were 100% right, Superman, I do need help. But, her kind of being more willing to open up to Superman to kind of, see him as like family the same way he wants to see her as family. I think because I feel like, again, this comes from the teaser. She very much gives me that impression that she keeps people at arm's distance away. And I feel like that probably includes Superman as well. So I do wonder if that's what they're kind of building up to towards the end, is like her finally kind of accepting that, she does still have family out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. But I'm just happy that we're gonna get a Superman appearance in here. I do think it's pivotal and certainly important. And I do think it'll probably maybe lead us into Man of Tomorrow and into some capacity. I have been seeing people talk a little bit about the Argo City scene. Some people believe that that might be Kandor, the bottled city that Brainiac winds up capturing. I do think it's Argo, though. That makes more sense because of the story behind is that they did have a protective barrier that saved them. So I think that's what we're seeing kind of going up there instead of it being quote unquote bottled. But it doesn't mean that the survival of Argo City can't lead to a revelation, maybe in this movie or in a connective scene that maybe Kandor is still around and lead us into like a Man of Tomorrow story featuring Brainiac. So I do think that there's a couple things that might hint towards that for this movie. So Superman appearance, I think, would really pay off here. Last couple comments here. Let's see. Yeah, Marcelino says I see many people saying that Millie Alcock is terrible as Supergirl because of her jaw overbite.
That's
T-
what?
Tony Robinson is like Millie is far from ugly. I see it all.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. If you go on our Facebook page and check out the teaser trailer, just look at some of the comments, or even like the teaser trailer like the tease for the teaser trailer. People are ferocious, man. What's up, Tony? It's good to see you in here. Most of the people who are crying about the Supergirl trailer are Snyder cultists and casual fans who don't like James Gunn or know the character and story. So that's what I am hoping that come the official trailer when that's released, that we do get more kind of story bites, a different stylistic like vibe about like what the tone of this movie certainly might be. I would like to see a little bit of a tonal shift in the official trailer kind of going forward that really focuses on the character and story so people know what they're really getting themselves into for this. But I'm excited, man. June 26th, 2026, Supergirl will be dropping. What did you guys think of the teaser trailer? Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, we will stick inside the world of, well, I would say the DCU, but this story is really like a what if for the DC EU that never materialized. And that's going to be in the world of Justice League Dark. We've talked about this movie from time to time, every now and then, especially every time Guillermo del Toro is in the news. And we think about what could have been, as we knew that Guillermo del Toro had plans on doing a Justice League Dark. And it's always fascinating to me when new information kind of starts to drop in regards to what this movie could have been. This week, though, Guillermo del Toro, I don't know what triggered this conversation, but del Toro did talk a little bit about his time on the script of Justice League Dark, some of the aspects of it that he was a really big fan of. And, after seeing Frankenstein, I really want to see him dive back into this world. I mean, he does such a good job already of doing great original movies. I think the last franchise that he connected himself to was Hellboy, if I'm not mistaken, the first two films. But I really want to see him come back to a franchise, whether or not he does or not, we'll definitely see. But let's go ahead and pick this up because I do want to talk a little bit about what Guillermo del Toro had to say. This comes to us from comingsoon.net. Justice League Dark, del Toro details plans for the scrapped movie as we get a little bit more insight in regards to what this could have been. During a recent interview, del Toro revealed that even though he hadn't begun casting for the Justice League movie, he wanted Hellboy star Doug Jones to play Deadman. He says no. I that was the amphibian creature, right?
Yeah.
Doug Jones. He says no. I was not casting yet. I knew I wanted Doug Jones to be Deadman only because physically he could do this suit, and I knew his mannerisms. I loved that screenplay. I was in love with it. I thought it brought everyone in effortlessly. He further disclosed the plot made absolute perfect sense. I really love how they got tangled. We had the Floronic Man as one of the villains. It was really great because Swamp Thing was very fleshed out. Talking about how the Cape Crusader would have fit into his Justice League Dark plans, del Toro noted there was a moment when Batman came in briefly. They said, "We need a plane," and a friend of mine has a plane. And then we were in Bruce Wayne's office. I would have loved to have done it. Now, I wouldn't. Despite his apparent passion for the project, Del Toro added that he has not approached DC Studios' James Gunn about reviving his Justice League Dark movie. He says, now and then I write him about something else he's doing right. I think he's remarkably smart, and I loved Superman. I really enjoyed the way he's viewing the universe. The screenplay is there. It was a couple of years of development. We never got to the art. It had great set pieces. My favorite one was a chase with Dead Man jumping from one body to the next. God damn, Del Toro.
This sounds really good.
It sounds really good.
Like, why did he want to? Why did he eventually, or why hasn't he had any interest in approaching James Gunn with this?
I don't know, man. I mean, look, the man has since won, I think, a Best Director, maybe Best Writer, I think, for what was that Sea Creature movie?
Way of no.
That's what I was gonna say, The Way of Water, but is it The Way
Then
of
I
Water?
realized
No,
that's
that's
Avatar.
Avatar. But I believe he won an Oscar for that. So maybe he's just all about trying to do his own thing right now. Look, I will say this: I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water. That's what it is. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility of Del Toro doing a DCU film. I just don't know if it would end up being Justice League Dark. I just say that because, if they had the script ready to go, the art pieces and stuff, he talks about including Batman in this. That might have to be taken out of the script entirely just because of what James Gunn plans on doing with his Batman. But I'm sure there's probably things that have to change, considering that it's not necessarily set in the DCEU, but would be set up in the DCU. I just find it fascinating, though, that look, we have somebody in Del Toro who clearly appreciates James Gunn and appreciates the work that he's been doing, writing him, telling him all the things that he's doing right, loving the universe that he's established. So it is hard for me to imagine that Del Toro wouldn't want to do some sort of movie in the DCU. I guess the question would just be, what kind of movie would he want to do? Because I don't think James Gunn's plan, at least right now, is not necessarily to lead or at least do a Justice League Dark movie right off the bat. But some lead-in movies I think would be really good. So I don't know. Stuart, do you have any DC comic characters that you would personally like to see Del Toro approach James Gunn about possibly doing that he hasn't done yet?
I got a couple and a team up idea, honestly.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with the obvious ones first because these are the answers you would probably hear everyone say. But Zatanna would be amazing. I know that Indy's been wanting a Zatanna movie for the longest time. Back, I think he's been saying that ever since I joined A Plus Opinions. So that would be one that I really want to see him tackle. I also think he would be great for Swamp Thing. Pretty much almost any side of the Justice League Dark kind of universe. I think he'd be perfect for. So if I want to give him something that wouldn't be quite as obvious, it would probably be Doom Patrol. I think that he would. Because looking at the way he directed Hellboy and the way he loves to direct just overall misfits, people that just don't fit into, that feel like outcasts in society, I should say, he would be perfect for that, I think. So that would be my number one thing, Doom Patrol.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, you mentioned Swamp Thing, and it did make me think to myself, look, we don't really know what's going on with the Swamp Thing movie from DC Studios right now. Originally, they had James Mangold attached to it, but James Mangold just literally signed a big exclusive deal with Paramount Pictures. I think he also has a Star Wars movie, Dawn of the Jedi, that he's supposed to do, that I believe he's co-writing with somebody right now. One of the writers from Andor, if I'm not mistaken, have teamed up with him to write the Dawn of the Jedi. And so it's when, if any, would James Mangold even have time to make the Swamp Thing? How long would we wait? That's when I would just be like, "Hey, Del Toro, tag me in, bro. Like, like, let me. You want a shot at a Swamp Thing? Let's get this started." If I had to choose a couple of projects I would love to see Del Toro do, you bring up the obvious, like Swamp Thing and Zatanna. If he said he loved working with, would love to work with Doug Jones as Dead Man, I would love to see a Dead Man movie. It's something that
Mm.
James Gunn himself has already teased before. I think back in 2024, James Gunn did go ahead and tease a Dead Man picture on his social media to kind of hint at maybe there's something in the works project wise. Although I'm hearing rumors that the Dead Man project may be animated. I could be wrong though, but we haven't heard anything about Dead Man since 2024, but or at least since that tease. But I do think him tackling Dead Man would be pretty cool. The other the other two I would throw out there, the Spectre, I think would be an interesting one, and even the Demon. And I say the Demon because one of the set pieces that it would involve, I think the time period too for the Demon originally is like during like the Merlin and like King Arthur time period. So I think it's like the medieval times era. So I think it would be really cool just from like the setting alone to kind of see what he would do with something like the Demon. The two outside the box movies I would love to see Del Toro tackle. I was just thinking about this too because when I think of Del Toro and stuff and Justice League Dark, I think of magic still. You know, the Blue Devil, I think, would be an interesting
Ooh.
one too. The Blue Devil was a special effects artist along with a stunt man that I believe gets attacked by a demon and winds up turning into a demon himself. Also, I think because he's worked with something like Hellboy before, just the aesthetics of like a Blue Devil, I think would be really cool for him, especially with the concept of special effects and being and stunt work and whatnot. It's maybe set in like Louisiana or something like that. I think that would be right up his alley. And the real out of the box one I'll even throw out there too, Stuart. I was just thinking about this the other day. New Gods. New Gods, I think, would be really cool. Again, because of the big, elaborate set pieces that he likes. He always gets really great costume designers and set designers for his stuff. Um, Great makeup artist and whatnot. So I think he could really bring some of the New Gods on like Apocalypse and things like that to life and really kind of thrust us into that world if they ever wanted to kind of explore that a little bit more in the DCU. So I do think there's a lot of stuff that Del Toro could really tackle if he wanted to. I guess it would just be a question of if Del Toro wants to become part of a franchise again, or if he's got more original concepts and ideas that he wants to tackle.
Yeah. Man, New Gods would be interesting for him. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. Just I want him to do something that isn't like kind of just one of the more mainstream kind of
Yeah.
characters. I
Yeah,
want
I
him to
don't want to
do,
mainstream.
I think my favorite that you said was the Blue Devil because we almost got him in live action once in Swamp Thing,
And
but
it's,
then the show
that's
got
right.
like canceled because of the weird tax thing. I don't even fully understand how that happened, but yeah, regardless, we got a tease for him, but we never actually got him. So I think, oh my gosh, that would be so perfect.
Yeah, I think my top three would be The Demon, Blue Devil, and a New Gods movie, is what I would love to see Del Toro tackle. But we'll see if it ever happens. I mean, if Del Toro's praising James Gunn and he loves the universe that he's creating, there's a part of me that thinks maybe Del Toro would love to be a part of that universe also in some capacity and create for James Gunn. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Um, Marcelino says there are rumors that a pseudo Justice League Dark Trilogy could secretly be made where Swamp Thing will act as the first entry. Then we get a Zatanna movie and then a Constantine film. I would personally love that if that's the route that they really wanted to do. He says, I don't think this will happen, but I could see Del Toro directing a Beast Boy movie. That would be interesting to kind of see him uh doing a Gar Logan movie due to his bizarre nature. The Authority would also be a great work, would be great with his style. Or another idea is directing the Outsiders movie. That would be an interesting one too. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. If Del Toro were to go ahead and work and team up with James Gunn to make a DCU movie, what would be some of the projects you would like to see Del Toro work on? Because I got to tell you, man, after reading what he wanted to do with Justice League Dark and just how much he was in love with the script, man, I imagine Ben Affleck popping up in Justice League Dark in order to help out the team with getting a plane. Just the back and forth between him and Constantine or him and Deadman sounds cool. The idea of the Deadman chase scene, bro. I mean, can you imagine what that would look like visually in a Del Toro film?
That would be really cool. The way he described it, like a dead man chasing of him going from one body to another. It feels like a scene that very few directors could pull off, but he is definitely like one of them.
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on the further details of Justice League Dark. That will never be, but could Del Toro join the DCU? Let us know your thoughts. And with that out of the way, guys, let's move on to our next topic. Wait, what's the order that I have these in? Okay, we're gonna get back into another movie trailer here, as we have been highly anticipating this Street Fighter movie. We have been asking for first look at what they were doing. We knew that they were filming. We knew some of the cast members that they have involved. And when we're going through the cast members list, we're like, why are they getting these people? Like, half these people aren't even actors. Some of them are comedians. Some people don't even know how to fight. Like, what are we doing here, guys? We've been patiently waiting to kind of see what this first look of this movie was going to be. And Stuart, we finally got it. Not only did we get it, but we also got an incredible amount of character posters. Some of them which you can kind of see on this wallpaper here a little bit. I'm not going to post all the character posters for you guys. There's just so many. Maybe I can find a website where I can kind of scroll through them a little bit so you guys can kind of catch up. But we did get a teaser trailer for it, a very brief teaser trailer for this. Stuart, do you have that trailer ready to go?
I do indeed.
Let's go ahead and knock that out. Damn. First off, ooh, dude,
I somehow missed that the first time I
part.
watched this trailer. I didn't know they had the freaking car punching.
They have the
thing.
car punching thing, dude. Like, you know, I'll let you talk a little bit more about. I mean, that's crazy that they even included this in this movie, dude. I mean, they're really leaning into the video game aspect of what this really what they're adapting it from. So, you know, the idea of like, are you taking this seriously? Are you diving into the campiness of the video game and just kind of embracing it? I think that last shot alone just kind of confirms so much for me.
I haven't seen a accurate looking Street Fighter movie like this since the movie City Hunters, where you had the brief segment of Jackie Chan playing Chun-Li.
Yeah, pretty much. I have talked about this a little bit. I will talk a little bit about it more, but just from the brief, I do want to get your perspective. Just on the brief, I don't know how long that teaser trailer was. What's your first impression of the Street Fighter movie?
Oh man, I love it when movies like fully embrace their the campiness. They go back to like, not only are the costumes like completely accurate to the game, but there's some small details in some of the moves. And this is coming from a guy, keep in mind, I played Street Fighter, but I'm not like a hardcore Street Fighter fan. So I'm not like a competitive player. I played a little bit of Street Fighter 2. I loved Marvel vs. Capcom, and of course I played a lot of Street Fighter 4 back when that came out on the 360. Played the hell out of that. But yeah, the movements that some of the characters have feel straight from the video games. The costume designs are insanely perfect. And that's something that I feel like more video game movies have been getting a lot better at, is like being more accurate to the video game feeling. And I love the color too. Like the color in this movie pops, the same way that it does in the video games. We don't get too much in terms of dialogue or anything like that. And I'm totally cool with that, because I feel like I don't care if this movie ends up being bad. Because at the end of the day, I think what this movie does is what it does have, even if it doesn't have a good script, is that you clearly have, very much like what I was saying about Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix series. It's clearly worked on. This is clearly being worked on by people who love the video game. And even if this movie got greenlit because the producers just wanted an easy buck, it's clear that the people working on it, the people actually putting the effort into it, are doing it because they have a passion for the video game. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the things that really just popped to me is the idea, like the style, the vibe, the artistic side of it, the lighting just really pops in this trailer also. Like it just immediately feels like I'm in this sort of like video game world that just embraces the idea that it's a video game. I mean, the choreography looks on point to me. I don't even know who's doing the soundtrack for this, but the soundtrack sounds dope too. It's like almost felt like a Beastie Boys mixed with somebody else on like a remix track. I don't know what the hell it was, but it just flows so incredibly well. And you're right. I mean, while there's no dialogue to this movie, we don't even know what the story of this movie is. Like, just this movie could be bad and it could still win me over just from the tone, the style, and the vibes alone. Like if they could just really make this one of those type of movies where it's so heavily great in other areas, I may just forget the idea of the script being weak. If they can make up for it in other areas. Like I was not expecting the quick shots in here really work for the trailer alone. So the cinematic look, the colors, like you said, just really pop. I love the shot of like Cammy just chilling there looking at us with her eyes. Akuma in here is pretty cool. The Ryu like just getting ready to fight, small little bounce in here. I mean, there's just so much. I think if there's anything that does make me chuckle or laugh when it comes to this, is probably Cody Rhodes as Guile. It's still really weird for me to see him in that role, but otherwise, I mean, if a teaser trailer is meant to hype up your level or be like a hype machine to get you more anticipated for a movie, that's exactly what this teaser trailer did for me. And I'm not trying to compare it to the Supergirl trailer, but they just hit completely differently for me. While I was already excited for Supergirl, that trailer didn't knock it up a notch for me. This one for Street Fighter, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just did not know what to expect. They hit me with the unexpected, with the really great vibe and style about it I was not expecting. And now it has my attention. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this movie could potentially be. Even if like the dialogue is atrocious, the acting is bad, the fact that they are fully fledged leaning into the video game aspect of it, yeah, makes me think that we might have something visually at least kind of special here for Street Fighter. They did also give us some character posters. I'll kind of scroll through some of these, but I think the character design too for a lot of these look pretty great. We got Noah Centineo here as Ken, which I think he looks great personally. Andrew Koji, who I am so looking forward to as Ryu in here. Who else we got? David Dashmalchian, if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, is M. Bison. I have been hearing people give M. Bison crap again. And look, I will just say, while yes, I understand video game wise, M. Bison is like a beast. I mean, the dude is jacked. And this is the second actor that we have had as M. Bison that is not jacked. I mean, Raul Julia was not a big man. David is not a big guy. But I gotta tell you, David is such a damn good actor, as was Raul Julia. And I think that's where they're getting their inspiration from, is probably the Raul Julia M. Bison in here. But David is so damn good as an actor. There's even a shot in the trailer where you see him briefly and he like opens up his cape and it looks like a fucking Batman cape. All like it's just big and grandiose, and his entrance is just amazing. It just has presence about him. That I can't crap on David as M. Bison just yet. I think he's gonna do marvelous work in this. We also
it's also
okay.
as cool as it looks in the video game. Here's the thing. I don't know if you could really convince me to take someone seriously if they're like, let's say he was built like John Cena. The thing is, like, a suit like that will hide your muscles no matter what. So you would have to make it like a specific type of design, like kind of a specific type of fabric that just it wouldn't look as good if it actually did match the how do I put it? If it was like a like that design, but it was skin tight, so they had a muscular actor in that kind of a suit, I just don't think it would look very good, So I think that like kind of scrapping that whole idea of trying to make him look as big as in the game, it just gives them more flexibility with not only the suit but also who they could hire as the actor. And I think like David, he's like honestly becoming like one of my favorite actors at this moment. So I love the idea of him as Bison. He always, like, hero or villain, he always nails it. So I'm excited to see like the camp that he'll bring to this character.
Yeah, he had literally like this a movie I saw this year, The Life of Chuck. He's in this movie for literally like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but his 5 minutes in there are so good too. Same thing with what's the other guy? Matthew Lillard is in that movie
they're in
too.
For like
and
2 minutes,
but they're so good.
They're given like as if they're trying to get an Oscar kind of performance. It's
Yeah,
like,
dude.
damn, you're in
Yeah.
this for 2 minutes, but I'm already like so hooked on your character. I'm sad that
Yeah.
we're never gonna see you again.
Yeah, pretty much. Kalina Liang is going to be playing Chun-Li. I think we might have seen her briefly in the movie too. We got Jason Momoa as Blanca. I can't even tell that's Jason Momoa, but the fact that they're going more video game style for his character and not the original live action version, I kind of dig it.
I think that's actually the fan casting I would have gone with if I was like casting for Blanca or Blanca, however his name's pronounced.
He's gonna have a great 2026, Jason Momoa. We also got 50 Cent as Balrog here. Saw him briefly in the trailer. Vidyut Jamiwal as Dalsim. He looked great visually too.
Dalsim was one of my favorite characters to play as because I love
as?
having the extra reach because his arms could extend.
Yeah, that range is important. Hiroki Goto as E Honda. Who else we got? Oliver Richards as Zangief.
Dude.
Dude. These character designs look so dope.
Yeah.
Who was oops, I went down too far. What the hell? Orville Peck as Vega. We also got Alexander Volkanovsky as Joe. Who else we got? Isn't he an MMA fighter? Andre Volkanovsky? Or is he an actor? I can't remember.
Probably MMA fighter with this being his actorial debut.
We also got Reina Valan Dingam as come on, Deadline. What are you doing to me, bro? You're killing me here. I'm not too familiar with her character, Julie. Was she in like a later version of Street Fighter?
I think she was. I don't know actually.
Don
she was
Savage.
A character I never played as.
Don Savage, as played by Eric Andre. We also got Andrew Schultz as Dan Hibiki. And then the one everybody wants to see, Mel Jarnson as Cammy. And then, of course, the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns as Akuma. So, yeah, those are all the character posters that we wind up getting. I honestly cannot wait for this movie, Stuart. I cannot wait for this movie, man. I'm pretty pumped for this one, bro.
You and me both.
Marcelino says, fun fact, Julia only agreed to play M. Bison because his sons were fans of the Street Fighter video game. He also says the best Street Fighter movies are the anime ones. They definitely are. And I will say, I think that's kind of what appeals to me from this trailer. I mean, you want to talk about anime style, just the colors, the dynamic cinematography in this trailer, and the choreography looks like it's going to be on par with something like it's ripped right out of an anime. So I think this movie has a lot of that kind of going for it that might tap into a little bit of that anime style for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the Street Fighter teaser trailer that we wind up getting today or yesterday. I thought, or maybe the other day, I can't remember, but incredible stuff, man. Incredible first looks.
Yeah, whenever the Game Awards was.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, we got comments.
What'd you say?
I said we had looks like we had quite a few comments that I missed.
Yeah, Marcelino coming through with a lot of the comments. He says in the Street Fighter lore, Akuma is hinted to be Ryo's father, but since both actors are different races and ages, I don't think they'll be going down that route in the future. Yeah, I will be curious to see what the storyline is of this.
Oh, I remember the trailer for this, and I remember being hyped for it back in 2009, but then I can't remember. It was one of my friends who had seen it, and he basically told me right before I was about to go watch it, yeah, no, this is worse than Dragon Ball Evolution. And I'm like, wow, that is, because that was still fresh in my mind, and I was still angry at that movie. So I was like, wow, that is okay. I guess I will steer clear of this.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on the teaser trailer for Street Fighter. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic because we have another big movie that's set to go ahead and drop in January as we return to 28 years later. We had the first entry to this brand new trilogy drop earlier this year for us. And we have ourselves a second movie that's set to go ahead and drop 28 years later. The Bone Temple drops in January as well. Now this I believe is written by Danny Boyle, but it's directed by Nia DaCosta as she takes over the directing role for the second entry, and really based off of the goal right now is that they filmed these two movies back to back for 28 years later. They did the first 28 years later, and then Bone Temple went into production right afterwards. They have not started production on the third film because they really wanted to see how well these first two movies certainly went. I personally enjoyed the 28 years later. I don't know if there's mixed reactions online. I might need to check the Rotten Tomatoes score for it. But I think if anybody had an issue with the movie, it might have been maybe the weird ending for the first one. So I am kind of curious if people are eager to go back to this world to check out the sequel, The Bone Temple. But we got some great news here this week, Stuart. I'm not necessarily one for first reactions. You know, I usually try and say take first reactions with a grain of salt. But I bring this up because I'm just hearing so many positive things about this movie, like uniquely positive things about the Bone Temple that I would not have necessarily expected. And I think they're kind of surprising to me. And so I did want to take a little bit of time to highlight what some of these first reactions are. Again, I always tell people, please, see movies on your own to be a fair judge of what the movie is before it certainly comes out. But I wanted to highlight some of these because even some of these really surprised me after watching the first 28 years later. But here's some of the first reactions for you guys. Bone Temple is brilliant, a sequel that operates on a much weirder wavelength than its predecessor, tackling the idea of a false god in a surprisingly thorny manner. While not as formally inventive, I found its focused narrative to be stronger and more emotionally acute. Another one says it's a brutally audacious follow-up to the 28 years later that largely sidelines the infected to explore cultism, trauma, psychosis, and compassion. I really like its uncompromising, idiosyncratic ambition. It's easily more polarizing than 28 years later. It says Bone Temple deepens the franchise lore with new questions and some long-awaited answers in the quietest yet undeniably most brutal installment of the series. Ralph Fiennes is truly phenomenal in here, adding new poetic layers of complexity to his character. It says, so I love 28 years later, a brutal examination of faith, control, and fear. It's surprisingly funny while also maintaining absolute tension throughout. I think people will be shocked by how weird it gets, but I loved it. DaCosta nailed it.
Okay, so I do really like kind of like how they're describing the movie, like the themes of it, the idea of like believing in false gods and blindly, following maybe the wrong leader, leading you to a down bad path into like a cult type of thing, which is very, very much what they hinted at the very end of the last movie. I think that I get why people were thrown off by the ending of the last film. I think the only reason I wasn't as thrown off as other people is because I knew going into this movie that this was like a two-part film essentially, and that they were hoping to get a third movie out of it. So I knew it was likely going to have a cliffhanger. I didn't expect the cliffhanger ending to be as over the top and bizarre as it was. Like, let me definitely emphasize that I was not expecting a color coordinated people, fighting zombies in a Power Ranger style fight scene to the theme song of Teletubbies. But dang, that was really cool. That was really bizarre, but cool to see. All that being said, though, yeah, I did really like the first 28 years later,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
did
really
too.
looking forward to this, seeing how they follow that up. And not to mention, like, and I hope this movie is as good as they're hinting at, because I do think that rounding this all up with the trilogy and using it to bring back Cillian Murphy, oh man, that would be so perfect.
Yeah, they. I'll only go through a couple more in here, but it says the Bone Temple is exactly how you do a middle chapter of a trilogy. I'm so glad she said this without saying it's the Empire Strikes Back of 28 years late. Like, I'm just so glad she didn't say it that way. Bone Temple is a great follow-up to Danny Boyle's recent sequel. Nia DaCosta recaptures the magic of the previous film with a propulsive story that utilizes dynamic camera work as it explores the cultist side of faith, religion, and the balance between. Oh, I'm not going to go through the rest of that. What if isolation is as erosive as the virus following through the infected's veins? DaCosta's introversion of this world juxtaposes so precisely with the groundwork laid before her by Boyle. Hard to imagine a better start to a new year. Yet more evidence that you let Nia DaCosta cook. Great things tend to happen. So much love with Ralph Fiennes walking away with the MVP and tearing the house down with one especially insane sequence that rightfully drew applause. So yeah, man, a lot of praise for Ralph Fiennes, a lot of praise for Nia DaCosta. It says one of the greatest horror movies of the decade, as it takes the first movie and goes 10 extra miles with the brutality and the intensity of the world. That's the second person that we've sent that says how brutal it is. It includes the best bonkers shit you'll find in a film next year. Yeah, so definitely pushing the narrative, it looks like, for the characters, the concept of faith, pushing the envelope in regards to the introversion of this world, and some of the horror elements as well in tension. So take with that what you will for 28 years later, and certainly make the decision yourself when you check it out. But Stuart, because the first reactions have been so damn positive, Sony's like, you know what? We're just gonna go along with 28 years later 3. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go. 28 years later 3, according to Deadline, moving forward at Sony with Cillian Murphy in talks. Alex Garland is penning. Exclusive, Sony is producing the third 28 years later movie following the electric fan reaction from recent screenings of the second film. The pick comes out January 16th. The third movie in the trilogy doesn't have a title yet. The buzz is that 28 years later star Cillian Murphy, who reprises his role in The Bone Temple, is in talks. And franchise scribe Alex Garland is currently writing part 3. Let me see if there's anything else. So yeah, so they were not taking much time. I would assume if anything, Cillian Murphy probably has a very small cameo. When I think of small cameo, I think of the way that the previous film ended with the Power Ranger people popping up and stuff,
Mhm.
and us realizing, who the main character was from the beginning of the movie popping up towards the end. I have a feeling Cillian Murphy's cameo might end up being like that, like a very like late tag to the movie, to get us into the upcoming trilogy for it. But Sony's loving what they're hearing from early fan reaction. So part 3 for 28 years later is a go, and Cillian Murphy looks like he's set to return. Does this get you pretty hyped, Stu?
Yes, definitely. Like I didn't expect to get this much of a first look, like immediate or first what do you call it, like first impressions this early on. But I am glad also to hear that Sony is just loving like the word of mouth from the early critic screenings, that they're like already confident enough to give this movie give this movie a sequel already. It makes me think, because, and again, I think that if the first one didn't hit as hard as it did for me, I don't know what my hype would have been for this. Probably nowhere near as what it is right now. But I think it was just the mixture of me really, really enjoying the first movie, and then now hearing all this praise that the second movie is getting. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And yeah, I do think that there's a good chance we'll have a Cillian Murphy cameo in this. But I'm not going to be disappointed if we don't, obviously. But yeah, that would be kind of a cool way to tease the third part of the trilogy. And it does make me wonder, though. So, like, if this is like a trilogy, because obviously they wanted it to be a trilogy from the start, but they knew for sure that they were going to be doing 2 movies at the very least. I do kind of wonder if this movie ends on as big of a cliffhanger as the first movie, or if this movie kind of has just a really dark, open ending where it's like, technically you could end it here, but there's definitely like a bit more story to tell, like if you want that extra bit of closure.
Yeah, I would be kind of curious too, how it does end up ending. Because if you weren't aware as to whether or not you would get a third film, right? Like how would you close it off in hopes that, hey, if we do get a third film, there's more to explore, but maybe to play it safe, maybe we give ourselves a more proper ending. I don't know. I'll be kind of curious to see how they pull this off. But yeah, man, I'm excited. You tell me Cillian Murphy, and I'm there. I'm really glad that they decided to go ahead and do this. Looking up the Rotten Tomatoes score for 28 years later, the critics loved it at 89%, but kind of lukewarm for audiences. It's only at like 63%. And while that's definitely on the positive side of things, I will say that, I don't necessarily know if 28 years later was what people were expecting. I do think it may be, I don't want to say under promised, but I don't necessarily know if 28 years later is, for me personally, as good as 28 days later and 28 weeks later. But I do think it's good enough to be a part of the franchise. And I think also, considering the fact that this is meant to be part of a trilogy, this is pretty much sort of like 28 years later is pretty much just the first act of what that trilogy is going to be. And I thought they did a really good job of setting up the father and son and even mother dynamics. I think that was just really fascinating to me with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. I do think that they did a really great job of setting up the world and letting us know just new things about it, how it certainly evolved. I probably wanted a little bit more horror, jump scares, violence in it that we got, but I do love the new things that it introduced, especially in regards to how much the infected have changed over time. And Ralph Fiennes' character, I think, really kind of stole the movie for me towards the end also. So do I think I could have gotten more from 28 years later? Yes. But I do think that that's exactly what a sequel is set up to do. And then along with the trilogy itself, because it does feel more like a 3-act sort of scenario here in regards to 28 years later being a setup. And I think from a setup perspective, I thought this movie was really great in that regard. So I have my issues with 20 years later, but I still thought good enough and enjoyable enough to really want to jump back into this world and just see where it builds from here. So I can understand the 63%, maybe not as enthusiastic for some people, but I have a feeling, man, that 28 years later, the Bone Temple will certainly win out for some people. So we'll see how it goes, though.
Definitely. I think if anything, this will, if it's as good as the way people are like hyping it up, I think this will actually just get people to re-watch the
Rewatch
first
them.
one and then like with a new perspective. So I think it'll add more appreciation, I think, to the first movie.
I think so, too.
It's so funny because I actually hear people say this, like this is the opposite for them when it came to the Matrix. But you know, don't get me wrong, I love the first Matrix movies. It's like one of my all-time favorite films. But I think I actually liked the first Matrix movie even more after seeing the second one, when I actually got to learn more about the world that the you know, Resistance kind of lives in. You know, so I do think that this could be one of those cases as well. Like as the world gets expanded, as we see more perspectives of this world, I think it'll just make it just that much more interesting. I mean, alone from that one, my favorite interaction in 28 years later is still when you have the guy that's not even from like that's not even from like the mainland or anything. I can't remember where he's from, but he's obviously from a place that's completely, you know, separated from all the quarantined areas. So like for him to like kind of talk about the world like the way it's going on today, and just seeing the way like other people who are still like in this virus infected area are like just struggling to survive, and him being like, oh yeah, we have this thing called Uber where I'm from. It's like, holy crap. So the rest of the world just does not give a crap about them. That's interesting. Like, I want to see more of that.
The military guy that was on the island. Yeah.
That little bit of dialogue we get like just gave so much away about the world. Like, I didn't expect the world would just completely move on, like nothing happened, and then just like, you know, we just don't talk about the people who are trapped, you know, infected in zombie infected areas. That's their problem. That's not our
because
problem.
they have like ships around the island and stuff, right? Quarantine it off so people can't get out. Like, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy stuff. I think my favorite scene from 20 years later was the chase scene when they had the big brute chasing after the father and son as they were trying to get back to their encampment or their little town. I mean, that shit was just intense, dude. Like, I'm pretty sure I was squeezing my girlfriend's hand the entire time. Like, it was pretty intense stuff. But we'll see what the sequel holds. But so far, so good in regards to the Bone Temple. So January, the Bone Temple sequel releases, and then Sony has greenlit a third installment. But let us know your guys' thoughts in regards to 28 years later in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic here today, as we're set to revisit the world of Friday the 13th. They've got themselves a brand new prequel series titled Crystal Lake that's going to be a Peacock original. We haven't heard too much about this prequel series, but today, or maybe a couple days ago, back on the 9th, the Crystal Lake creator decided to go ahead and give us some further details in regards to the series that they were going to do. And I found it kind of interesting. I thought this was probably like the first time we've gotten this level of detail in regards to what this series is supposed to be. So let's go ahead and bring this up here. If you guys are fans of the Friday the 13th franchise, this one certainly might be for you. This comes to us from Entertainment Weekly here, saying that the Crystal Lake creator sets the stage for the prequel series. There are rivers of blood, is a direct quote from him. It says, as the co-showrunner on HBO's It Welcome to Derry, Brad Caleb Kane already went through the trials of crafting a prequel horror series to a beloved classic, in this case, Stephen King's It. The TV creator is now actively doing the same for Friday the 13th. He says, in many ways, it's a psychological thriller. It's a paranoid 70s thriller. It has all the DNA of a slasher without quite being a slasher. There are rivers of blood in the show. There are very, I think, ingenuous kill sequences and deaths and murders, but it's all done in service of character and theme and place in time. It looks like he also says Linda Cardellini will star on Crystal Lake as Pamela Voorhees, the mother to young Jason Voorhees. In the first Friday the 13th movie, Pamela was the killer terrorizing the teen camp counselors when they attempt to reopen Camp Crystal Lake. Jason drowned at this camp years prior, and his mother sought revenge on the counselors who weren't paying attention to him. The second Friday the 13th retconned the story to present a reality in which Jason never actually drowned. The character then went on to become the face of horror franchise and its de facto mask killer. The showrunner says, I tried to think of Crystal Lake and the Friday the 13th prequel as what era did the first movie come out of? It came out of the paranoid 70s thriller era. It came out of the mistrust of institutions era. It came out of the women's liberation era, the National Organization for Women era, this consciousness raising, awakening era in America. I wanted to go and play with all of those particular themes. However, when it comes to Cardellini's performance, Kane says she's going to shock and surprise a lot of people. I think she's going to get a lot of attention for this role. She's inconceivably brilliant in it. I can't really say much more. So first off, let me say this. The fact alone, first off, when it comes to Welcome to Derry, I've really enjoyed this series. I feel like that series has really gotten better week in and week out. And after this last episode that we wind up getting going into the finale, which I think the finale drop already. I haven't watched.
I think it drops tonight. It usually doesn't drop like in the morning.
It's on Sundays, right?
Yeah, but it's usually like Sunday, like in the evening.
I didn't know why I thought it was like Friday, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how they tackle this. So the fact that Brad Caleb Kane is a co-showrunner for that, along with I would assume Andy Muschietti, the fact that he's gonna take his writing style and bring that over to Crystal Lake, I'm in. Like the Welcome to Derry already sold me on Crystal Lake, but I also love the idea. I love when directors, or showrunners take the era in which the original movies were made and connect themselves to the themes of that time too, so that it kind of feels like this story takes place during that time, or maybe the filming techniques or the themes take place during that time, and not so much like a modern take on an old prequel or an old film. And so the fact that he is taking the concept of what was big during that time, thrillers from the 70s, the paranoid thriller 70s era, and really injecting that into what this show can be, especially if it's the idea of like your son got drowned at this lake because of the people you entrusted them to look after your son didn't do your job. If that's not like an anti-institution sort of mindset of like going after the people that are supposed to look after you or take care of you and not doing their job, like I'm really fascinated to kind of see how you inject a paranoid 70s thriller into Crystal Lake with all these themes that he's kind of mentioned. And I think they've already done, so like I said, I think they've already done such a good job when it comes to Welcome to Derry that I'm actually even find myself more looking forward to this Crystal Lake series than I certainly was before, Stuart. But what do you think about what he has to say?
Yeah, as a big Friday the 13th fan, I like what he's taking into consideration with when the first movie was made and how it like kind of reflected the time, and then with this being a movie that takes place in the 70s, it reflecting the times as well from the 70s. So I love that whole like idea that it kind of gives me the impression that this guy isn't just doing this to make a quick buck. Like he actually does have like a connection at least with the original Friday the 13th franchise. Yeah, it's a series that I didn't necessarily want to see, and it's still not one that I'd be like, with all the directions you could take, like Friday the 13th is not the number one I would go with, but it's something I could definitely still see working, especially if we're going kind of with the first movie route, where it's going to be kind of in the perspective of Jason's mother after he's drowned because of a bunch of neglectful teenagers at camp. So I'm very excited to see how that kind of plays off. And I do love that, like, one of the things, like, I mean, the freaking headline of the article, like, that there will be rivers of blood, to like kind of show you that, oh yeah, you know, we're still like, you know, the horror genre, we're still, you know, this is still like kind of a slasher, you know, series. But yeah, overall, I think I wouldn't say I'm excited for it, but I am definitely optimistic about this for everything I've seen, so everything I've heard so far anyways.
Yeah, I think that's a great word, optimistic. I definitely, like I said, I don't necessarily know if this was necessarily on my radar prior to learning more about this into this article, but it has certainly put it on my radar. And I agree with you. I mean, the fact that they are taking a different approach, but are still sticking true to the slasher aspect of things really works for me too. And I think the fact that they said, you know, it all comes down to based off of like the character motives and the perfect time and the perfect place to introduce that stuff. And when they do, yeah, it's gonna live up to the Friday the 13th sort of what it's known for. So I'm, you know, yeah, I'm definitely a bit more optimistic about this. Blossom says, to be clear, Freddy is the one with the hockey mask. Yes, yes, absolutely.
No, that's Jason's the one with the hockey mask. Freddy's the
Oh,
one
Freddy,
with the,
I'm sorry.
yeah, Freddy's the one
Yeah,
with
so
the giant claws.
yeah, so she threw me off there because her next one was Friday the 13th. Oh dear, or oh dear, not Friday the 13th. Yeah, so Freddy is the claws, Jason is the hockey mask. So just to get that straight. Yeah, we had a big old picture of him right here for you. Let me see. Is the picture there? Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Good old Jason. Did you ever dress up as Jason for Halloween?
You know, I never did. I dressed up in a similar kind of basically it was like I got a cheap Halloween mask one Halloween last minute, and added like my own blood stains, and I gave him and I basically gave this character like its own backstory, and I'm like, he's similar to Jason.
I dig it. Andy Uchiha in the chat with his football reference. Go Phillip Rivers. Yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of curious how many touchdowns he's throwing today. Which horror franchise do you want to see get a TV show spinoff next?
Cool. You know, since Freddy's name came up, I could see a Nightmare on Elm Street, like kind of either a prequel or just, you know, a TV show reboot working. Like if you go the prequel route, you could actually have it be about like before like all the parents got together and like lit his you know, place on fire while he was still inside. It could like be about him being a serial killer before the incident, before he's let go by the judge.
Oh, I kind of dig that. A spin-off television series. I wouldn't mind Candyman. I think Candyman would be an interesting one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think there's some stories you could probably really tell with a Candyman. Just the story alone of that. So maybe I'd probably go Candyman route.
Yeah.
But so thank you for that question.
This reminds me, though, I probably should eventually go back to watching the Child's Play TV show because I have heard that it's pretty good.
Indy says Slender Man. He also suggests Pinhead.
Ooh.
Pexy says Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind that. Marcelino says hashtag bring back Chucky. That got a pretty good run, I thought, for a spinoff series. I thought they did a pretty good job.
I think it ended on a cliffhanger that they never resolved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of like with Ash versus Evil Dead. Although I will say I'm okay with the Ash versus Evil Dead cliffhanger not getting resolved because damn, that was such a badass way to like end the series.
Do you think there's a way to do like a Saw spinoff series? I mean, you watch a lot of the Saw movies. Is there potential for a spinoff, or has it been so done with all the movies?
Man, if you wanted to, I feel like you'd have to reboot it if you were going to do it as a TV show. It would be really hard to write a show in the Saw universe, just with how convoluted the plot has gotten, and especially if you want to keep, the same. If you want to keep Kramer, right? That's Jigsaw's real name, I think Kramer. But if you wanted to keep him, it would be challenging. So I would say you could do it, but you'd probably want to reboot it, like a completely different universe, fresh slate.
Oh, you know what's another? I think I just saw this movie on here. The Hills Have Eyes. Maybe you could do something
Oh,
with that as a spinoff too.
you definitely could.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of material there. But yeah, good question, Marcelino. I appreciate it. All right, guys, and with that out of the way, we got one more topic for you guys. As look, what episode of Hero Report would it be if we didn't talk a little Star Wars, baby? That's right, some Star Wars news here this week. I thought was rather interesting. You know what? While I bring this up here, there's one thing I want to highlight before we as we talk about this. But the hunt for Ben Solo is back in the news here this week. As look, will this movie ever get made? Who freaking knows? But I feel like there's still a fan campaign out there. Every big name in Hollywood that has heard about the hunt for Ben Solo, when they talk about it, discusses the idea of just how great it would be if it actually came to fruition. So, it definitely, I would say it certainly has momentum on its side. Whether or not Bob Iger will eventually pull the trigger, who certainly knows. But this week, one big name in Star Wars, aka Daisy Ridley, has come out and talked about the idea of the hunt for Ben Solo. I would assume that Daisy Ridley would have some skin in the game when it comes to the hunt for Ben Solo actually being made, because I can't imagine a Ben Solo movie being made without a Ray Skywalker kind of involved in some capacity or not. But Daisy Ridley talked a little bit about it, because I think, if anything, she was probably more surprised about who actually dropped this bombshell news than anybody, than anything else. Let's go ahead and dive into this and hear exactly what Daisy Ridley had to say. Talking to IGN this week. Up to now, one voice that hasn't weighed in is actress Daisy Ridley, who played Rey in the recent trilogy. Recently, I spoke to Ridley for her upcoming zombie drama, We Bury the Dead, which is set to go ahead and drop in theaters January 2nd, and asked whether or not she knew about the hunt for Ben Solo, which the fandom has surmised would include her character in some capacity. She says, "I knew a piece of it. I'd heard rumblings," Ridley shared of her recent reaction to Driver's News. "I have lots of friends who are crew, so things always travel like that. But whoa, when the story came out, no, I was like, oh my God." And it was him that said it, right? Him being Driver, who is notoriously quiet about all things outside of a formal press junket. She continued, "It was funny because I was like, oh wow, Adam is saying it. And that's the big surprise of the year," she laughed. With Star Wars fan discourse, especially about the sequels, always divisive, really said witnessing the outsized reaction has been heartening. She says, "I do love when there is a collective of positivity. The way the internet seems to have rallied to try and get it to happen, I think, one, it's fantastic for all of us. It's good for us to all be united about something in a really positive way. Obviously, everyone knows he was a very popular character, but it was also lovely to think, wow, people really, really care and want this." And I like it. I like it when people join forces, excuse the pun, from all around the world, all different sorts of people. I just love that Star Wars fandom is such a huge and gorgeous array of different people's points of view. And the fact that everyone is really behind this thing, I think, is just sort of lovely. In a time that is so effing nuts for probably every single person in the world, I think it's wonderful. So I was surprised, and honestly, I felt a bit joyful about how it went down. Asked if it galvanized her push harder for a Rey movie, or if she learned to be patient about all things Star Wars. She said she has trust in everyone still developing it, and it will be worth the wait. She says, "Honestly, there are scripts that I've read 5 years ago, and now I've gone, oh, maybe they will actually happen." Um, she says, I think over the years, I've learned how the reality of getting any film made is so massive. The hurdles are vast. But with this particularly, I know that incredible voices and creatives are part of it, and I know that it will be worth the wait. So Daisy really certainly suggesting that she is definitely still hopeful that her movie gets made, but I think is not only surprised about the fact that Adam Driver, who does tend to keep things kind of close to the vest, was the one to kind of break this news. And just the positivity, I think, around uniting the Star Wars universe is really surprisingly, well, I don't want to say surprisingly, but definitely surprised her in a good way, it looks like, Stuart. But what do you think from what she has to say?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with her because Adam Driver, I don't want it to sound like I'm talking smack about him because I'm not. He's a great actor, but he's also, I don't see him get very heavily involved with his movies like this, at least not in the past, mostly because he's one of those actors that very much feels kind of self-conscious about himself, does not like to watch his own performances, because there was this whole interview I remember where they actually tried to play a clip from one of his shows and he just straight up walked out of the room because he told them beforehand, I don't want to see myself on screen. So that all being said, you know, he's not the kind of guy that gets like really too heavily involved when it comes to the movies that he's in. He's usually just an actor. He's there to perform. So I think what got me intrigued about this Ben Solo movie wasn't even the premise of it, because I honestly, I think that if I had just heard about it in a vacuum and I'm like, yeah, I can see why Disney, I would have been like, yeah, I can see why Disney turned that down. But I think his involvement, his interest in this project, that's what kind of intrigues me. Like, it makes me think there has to be something in this script that he thought was so good that he actually wanted to be personally involved with it. I think that's what kind of intrigues me about the whole thing in regards to the movie as a whole. And I think that her bringing that up, you know, like this is something that like he himself, that Adam Driver himself is really into, kind of shows that there probably was some something unique, something passionate behind this project. And yeah, I do like what she said, how she clearly wants this project, hopes that this project can happen again in the future. And it is great too. She brings up another point that I totally agree with, because in this day and age, it feels like, you know, negativity, toxicity within the Star Wars community feels like the number one like goal, essentially. Like if you're a Star Wars YouTuber, you have to do everything you can to like divide the fandom, tell people that like if they like the Disney movies, they're not a real Star Wars fan, that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to see, and I totally agree with her with this, like, you know, the internet kind of come together and saying, you know, this actually could have been something really cool. This is something we would have really liked to have seen, something that had Disney origins, you know, but could have been really like heavily expanded on. And then it just kind of unfortunately gets shut down by Disney. And their official statement as to why I think is really dumb, because they're like, well, Ben Solo died. It's like, yeah, so did the Emperor, but that didn't stop you. So yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think that reasoning for not bringing him back was kind of dumb. But I do think that I do kind of hope, like, if the internet, because we've seen before, that Disney listens to the loud voices, and I think that if the voices are loud enough, there is a good chance that this project could come back at some point in the future. I think it just kind of depends on a couple of things. I guess it'll first depend on how good this Rey movie does, and it'll depend on if the momentum for the interest of that movie continues instead of dying out over time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. You know, I will say I would definitely agree with her, especially in her surprise for, like you mentioned, Adam Driver, and that's why I think this just fascinates me so much. The fact that Adam Driver did mention this, I think, is what really grabs my attention, because you're right, he doesn't really talk about this stuff. He doesn't like seeing himself kind of on the big screen, so you would just automatically think he would just keep this close to his chest. So the fact that he puts it out there, and I think he even tried to like repair it in a later statement, saying, we didn't put this out there in order to kind of get it made or anything like that. It just came up in conversation. Like, bro, you're smarter than that. Like, you're just way too smart. You're way smarter than that. So I think the fact that he threw it out there, I do think that there was some intention behind him making it, because I just think Adam Driver would know better, you know?
Yeah.
And so the fact that he put it out there, I'm very much glad that he did. because I look, I do think, and we've talked about this before, but I do think we do live in a world where a Ben Solo and a Rey Skywalker character can coexist in regards to leading the franchise forward. And when there has been so much positivity around, especially the Ben Solo character, who Daisy really rightfully so points out, he was a very popular character in the sequels. Being able to bring him back, I think, is good for both characters, for not only Ben Solo, but also for somebody like a Rey Skywalker, in the sense that if we have a Ben Solo movie and it includes Daisy Ridley and it tends to be a great movie, I think that just bolsters uh, both of them in regards to their characters and their level of popularity. You know, the fact that her movie has yet to get off the ground certainly worries me. I am kind of curious as to what the level of the scripts are, or if Disney finds themselves in a situation where it's like, man, this character just while I think I personally like the character Rey Skywalker, I do know that there are probably some people that don't necessarily care for her so much, just based off of the divisiveness of the sequels. You know, I'm sure Bob Iger and the rest of Disney is trying to figure out, like, how do we approach these sequel movies or these sequel characters when, you know, clearly there's a lot of voices going back and forth. But I think both of these characters have the opportunity of raising their stock in a positive way. You know, if you're struggling with getting a Rey Skywalker movie off the ground, maybe start off with a Ben Solo movie that people are positive about the character. Introduce Rey Skywalker in that also, and if it's a good movie, I think that will lay the groundwork for then giving us a Rey Skywalker solo movie and building upon that also. And maybe that movie also includes Ben Solo in some way, shape, or form. So I do think that there's a world we live in where Ben Solo and Rey Skywalker can co-lead this particular franchise. I just think the road to getting there has to be done a little bit differently. Now, whether or not that certainly happens, who knows? I mean, we got Simon Kinberg currently working on a brand new episodic trilogy. Whether or not that includes a Ben Solo or Rey Skywalker, who knows if these movies ever get made. But I do think a Ben Solo movie could lead into a successful and well-received Rey Skywalker movie also, if certainly done right. But you know, I think her premise about just the positivity around this project does speak volumes. This is the first time, I think, since maybe Andor, maybe a couple other Star Wars projects, where the fandom has been really like all in, or really supportive of the stuff that they've been doing. And so, you know, if you can capture that positivity in any way as Disney and as Lucasfilm, I think you should take full advantage of it. And I do like that Daisy really continues to be honest about her films, in the sense of just letting people know, like, it's not just plain and simple of, hey, we announce a movie and it gets made. You know, when it comes to Hollywood, there's so many hurdles, there's so many things that stand in the way. It may or may never get made, but she seems to be at least the one staying positive, in the sense of that's going to be certainly well worth it. And I still to this day hope that we get a solo Rey Skywalker film, despite how some of the pushback certainly may be against it. But I definitely want one. So I'm glad she spoke out on this, though.
Mm.
Marcelino says people say that Ben Solo deserves to return and should replace Rey, saying that Ben Solo is a better character than Rey. I just think they can both coexist. You know, I think you can have a world where they just both coexist. People say that Rey got 3 movies and never developed once, but Ben Solo outshined her in every scene. I don't know. I would say she had a really great moments in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I was a really big fan of her in both of those roles.
Yeah, I would say, and it's not even just her, I would kind of say this was the problem for everyone, is like a lot of them had some good, like, kind of, you know, arcs that were kind of being built up in the first 2. I just feel like Rise of Skywalker almost just decided to ignore both The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and just kind of like was like, I'm gonna do my own, which is like, this is what I find so funny of it. Like, everyone complains that The Last Jedi completely like dismissed the Force Awakens. What I found so weird about Rise of Skywalker is that movie feels like it dismisses both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, despite being directed by the same guy who did The Force Awakens. It feels like it just dismisses both of them and just goes, we're going to make a video game into a movie.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ryan Johnson just had a really great article that dropped this week too, where he was talking about Wake Up Dead Man and the parallels and the comparisons between some of the themes in Wake Up Dead Man, along with Star Wars, in regards to like Christianity and religious views and things like that, that I found really, really compelling. And like when you hear him break it down, especially in the terms of the Last Jedi movie, I think it just makes me appreciate his Last Jedi movie just that much more. So if you did get a chance to check out the recent Ryan Johnson interview, I think it was maybe with Polygon.com, I read it on, where he talks about Star Wars and Wake Up Dead Man. It's definitely a really good read, and I think reinforces why I enjoy that movie so much, and just his mindset towards kind of tackling it. But maybe we'll talk about it another day. Speaking of Star Wars, though, I did want to give, I don't know if this is gonna pull up for me or not. Let me see. We did get an update here recently from Matt Smith about Star Wars Starfighter. Let's see if this works. Tell me if you can hear it, Stuart.
And what about this new haircut? What's this?
Oh, well, I finished the film yesterday, and they had to cut my hair for it. So this is why I've got
Star Wars. Tell us anything about it.
Star Wars, yeah, I finished that yesterday. Yeah, and so that's why I've got this daft haircut with this funny little bit at the front, but
What can you say anything or not?
Ryan Gosling's in it.
Right, the wonderful, Ryan's in it, who's just fabulous. And I think it's really exciting. It's directed by Sean Levy, who did all this kind of Stranger Things. He's just fantastic, and I think it's going to be really great. Actually, I think it's I think it's got legs.
Yeah, lovely.
The last time and what about this new hair?
So that is Matt Smith confirming at least his role in Star Wars Starfighter has officially wrapped, as he's done. But I also find, first off, his comment on, I think it's going to be really good, I think it's got legs. Like, he seems really convinced that this movie is on par. And the fact that he says, I think it's got legs, I think is kind of convincing to me. It's just one of those things where there's just so much talent involved here. Ryan Gosling, Matt Smith, Mia Goth, who was great recently in Frankenstein. Amy Adams is involved in here too. Not to say that Matt Smith always picks great scripts, Morbius, but I don't know if I remember hearing him talk about this like for Morbius. But when he says things like, "I think we got a good one here. I think it's got legs," it kind of is a little bit encouraging to me.
Because like my whole thing is that because he didn't go into too much detail, he didn't seem like, and I fully get that it's likely because he's not allowed to say too much about it. More than likely he has those like Disney snipers, like having right in his right in their line of sights. So I get that. So he probably just didn't want to say too much, but at the same time, it to me it just kind of came off as, oh, I'm an actor, this is what I have to say about our movie.
I get you.
So I wouldn't say that like kind of adds to my excitement for it. But it is cool though. I do like getting that official confirmation that he's in it. And I do like his kind of hairstyle that he has for it. Yeah. So I am very curious because I think like his role, like if he was playing kind of an imperial like officer or something like that, I feel like that's kind of the perfect kind of hair that you would have for kind of the villain in that type of role.
Yeah, absolutely. It does fit the villain hairstyle for sure. The close buzz fade on the side with the like military top to it. Yeah, I kind of dig the look. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to not only the hunt for Ben Solo, but Matt Smith wrapping his portion of Star Wars Starfighter. So it looks like that film is probably ready to be wrapped here relatively soon, maybe by the end of the new year, but we'll see. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. And with that out of the way, Stuart, that will do it for all of our live viewer questions. Marceline is, or not a live view questions, but all our main topics.
I was gonna say
Marceline
that's
said,
next.
did you hear about the newest Star Wars High Republic that's released a trailer and will be releasing in 2030? I haven't heard for the High Republic, but I heard it was for the Old Republic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have the
Fate of
new
the Old Republic.
Fate of the Old Republic. Yeah. I'm excited for that because it's going to be directed by Casey Hudson, who did the Mass Effect trilogy. I'm not sure what he's done besides the Mass Effect trilogy, but yeah, like he's involved with it. I thought the teaser looked really cool, gave us just like a little glimpse as to what we can expect. My biggest thing I'm kind of curious is if they're going to go the action RPG route like in Mass Effect, or if they're going to go the tactical RPG route like in the original Knights of the Old Republic games. I freaking love the Knights of the Old Republic, the first one. I never played the second one, which some people like more. Some people say it sucked. I personally haven't played it, so I don't know, but I loved the first Knights of the Old Republic game, and I'm so glad that we're finally kind of going back to that world. And I assume because this is going to be produced by Disney, this will be a canonical look into the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you for bringing up the gentleman's name, because the way that they promoted it in the trailer was like I'm supposed to know who he is. But I guess if you played video games, yeah, the name is probably very familiar to you from a very popular video game series. But I didn't know he was. I thought it was somebody from like the old regime of Knights of the Old Republic. But the fact that he said Mass Effect, that even gets me a little bit more hyped. I'm not gonna lie. So I would love to see just that vision and mindset of Mass Effect meets Star Wars in some kind of way for an Old Republic game. Sounds incredible. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Marceline. I appreciate it. And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. Now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer question portion of the show. If you guys ever want to submit a live viewer question over, it's pretty simple. Every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, we will go ahead and make a post over on our YouTube channel. So simply go over to our YouTube channel as you see here, click on this post section, and voila, live viewer questions. I did drop this kind of late, like at midnight yesterday. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Let's see if we can breeze through some of these questions here. We got Peg C. Oh my gosh, with the paragraph today. The original Mirage comics of TMNT, one of the turtles orders and appears to drink beer in the original grittier Mirage comics. Specifically in TMNT Volume 1, Issue 5, Raphael is at an alien bar and orders a beer. He is served an unidentified sci-fi intoxicating drink, which he assumes is beer. Other references to alcohol in earlier comics. He gives some other examples. The original comics were aimed at an older audience and feature more mature themes, including violence and occasional swearing, which were removed for the child-friendly 1987 animated series. In this adaptation, the turtles' preference for beer was replaced by an obsession with pizza. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. That's pretty dope, though.
Didn't know about the beer aspect, but yeah, obviously the whole it having a more like darker, edgier tone to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show like just how spot on that original TMNT movie might have been. Just seeing like Raph in like a trench coat and a hat walking in the city like he's some bum. Like I could see that Raphael drinking the beer for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I think that 1990s was like the perfect adaptation, because I feel like it captured the grittiness of the original graphic novels really well, but it also had that like kind of personality of the 80s cartoon, because I think like that's like one problem with the original TMNT run is that like there wasn't really much to distinguish all the characters from each other. They were all basically like Raphael. So it's like I like how in the cartoon they all had different personalities, and that's what they definitely brought to the live action version.
He also says, number 2, Macaulay Culkin open to a Home Alone sequel and shares ideas. He says Kevin McAllister faces off against his son to get into their locked house. Macaulay Culkin said in a recent stop on his Nostalgic Night with Macaulay Culkin tour that he wouldn't be completely allergic to returning as Kevin McAllister, although he added it would have to be just right. Fortunately, Culkin already has pitched for a sequel and that he would be interested in doing. He says, I kind of have this idea. I'm either a widower or a divorcee. I'm raising a kid and all that stuff. I'm working really hard and I'm not really paying enough attention. And the kid is kind of getting miffed at me. And then I get locked out. Kevin's son won't let me in. And he's the one setting traps for me. I kind of really dig it, honestly. He says the sequel idea is more or less to replace the robbers with Kevin McAllister as he battles his own son to re-enter their home during the holidays. The house is some sort of metaphor for our relationship, he says. Get let back into his son's heart kind of deal. That's the closest elevator pitch that I have. I'm not completely allergic to it. To the right thing, he says. I kind of dig the idea. I think that's a really cool kind of pitch and feels very Home Alone to me in the sense of like just the lessons of parents and children, with the mom and her relationship with Kevin and, forgetting him and, just the perfect time of, reestablishing with your family during the holidays and stuff. So I kind of really dig that idea. And it would be cool to kind of see Kevin one-upped by his son and finding himself in that position to have to get back into the house. And I would be curious if Kevin even maybe tries to set up some traps for his son too, to be like, two can play this game sort of mentality. But I think it would be fun, and I think it'd be a really cool holiday film. I love that idea. Elaborate on it more, but I kind of love the pitch.
It's a lot better. I like that pitch more than the whole Home Alone movie that they ended up going with for Disney Plus.
I don't even know what that one was. I'm afraid to ask.
Oh yeah, no, they made like a Home Alone movie a few years ago, back when Disney Plus had like launched, and it wasn't good because it just fell under the same the same issues as all the other Home Alone sequels, which is just like they're trying to recapture the comedy. But I feel like everyone who's ever made a Home Alone sequel, except maybe Home Alone 2, that's probably the one exception, but I feel like everyone who's ever made a Home Alone sequel constantly forgets the first Home Alone movie wasn't just funny. Like there was actually a heartfelt story in there, and that gets lost in every single Home Alone sequel. But this version, like this pitch that we get here, actually feels like you're taking it back to its roots. Like it sounds like you could still have a lot of great comedy there, like a good amount of slapstick comedy, but like it also seems like it's got that heart that the first movie had, that like all the sequels tend to miss.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where like just thinking about it, I mean, when I watch the Home Alone movies 1 and 2, especially the first one though, there is a level of being choked up that I get. Like I feel that little thing in my throat when you're getting ready to kind of get emotional a little bit. Home Alone does have that emotional impact on me when I watch, just from the theme alone behind it is pretty meaningful. And the soundtrack I think is beautiful too for Home Alone. That really adds a lot to it. Did you ever watch the Mighty Ducks movies? If so, which was your favorite? I think probably for me, I think it was probably D2. And I think only because it really embraced the 90s even more, I think. It just has that 90s nostalgic vibe that I always, that I really loved about it.
I recently rewatched the first movie. I'm also going to go with D2, but mostly because that was the one we had on VHS, so I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah.
And then the third one used to bore me as a kid, like because they only have like one hockey game in the entire movie. But I recently rewatched the first movie. And dude, that movie is so funny. And I don't think it's funny on purpose, but like specifically when it came to the rival coach and him just like the way he tries to talk down to oh crap, what's our main character's name? The coach, Bombay. The way he tries to talk down to Bombay, like, man, you look at you now. You could have been something great, but now look at you, a well-played lawyer who has his whole life figured out. Man, you should be ashamed of yourself. And it's like you're coaching little league hockey. Like, and from what I understand, most little league hockey leagues don't pay their coaches very well. It's usually just like whatever money gets donated, that's your paycheck. And he's just like, you could have been something great, but now look at you, a well-off lawyer with a good career.
I do like the first one too. I think the first one is pretty good, but yeah, the D2 just wins it for me.
Mm.
Marcelino, oh man. Okay. With Bel Air drama reboot, many people have said it felt unnecessary because a lot of the themes still hold up regardless of it being a sitcom. That being said, what's a comedy that you think should be rebooted into a drama series because you felt like the sitcom nature held it back from going all the way to present its ideas? Personally, I would like to see a drama reboot of Disney Channel's Liv and Maddie. I think there's so many ideas that could be explored greatly with child stars trying to acclimate back to the normal lives and reconnected with the old family relationships they missed out on for years, as well as showcasing the different perspectives of twin sisters, where one lived the glamorous Hollywood life and the other is a tomboy who lived, who loves being an athlete. What's a comedy that you a comedy sitcom, I would assume?
I'm trying to think which I swear there was I could have answered this question like like a couple days ago because I know what my answer would kind of go down to is that it would come down to like the type of comedies that have very dark undertones, but they never treat it as dark. They treat it as just like part of the comedy. Man, trying to think though at this point, what because like it's weird. I would have. Hmm. Ooh, actually, this would be a good one. I mean, it already had like a lot of drama aspects to it as well. Kind of like Fresh Prince, like even though it's a comedy, it had a lot of drama in it. But All in the Family with Archie Bunker, I would not be opposed to seeing like I wouldn't, obviously you couldn't really remake it or you couldn't reboot it as a continuation because I don't even think the actor is still around. But I do think you could you could make a similar story to All in the Family with a Archie Bunker type character. I'd be very curious to see like how they would write that character nowadays because I feel like that could still be done. Like you could still have like a character who you can tell there's a good person in there, but like at the same time, the way he presents himself, he's the type of person that you would absolutely like just hate to like know in real life. But watching him in kind of like a TV format, you kind of think, this guy could be good if he would just like open his mind up to like what people are actually telling him. I think like the closest we get to that is with Peacemaker, with John Cena. I feel like Chris is kind of a modern day Archie Bunker, except for he's not like he except for like I'd say his development happens a lot faster, whereas Archie Bunker, because it's a sitcom, he's not allowed to like actually change over time. I think that's the one thing about All in the Family is that because it's a sitcom, Archie Bunker isn't allowed to grow. He isn't allowed to become a better person. He is in that episode, but then in the next episode, that character development kind of goes thrown out the window and he's back to the same grumpy, racist old Archie Bunker. So I think that an All in the Family drama reboot where the character grows over time, that could actually work potentially really well.
The two that come to mind, Family Matters. I think the themes would probably still hold up relatively well, but I would love to see that maybe in a more serious drama sort of thing. If we're talking about like Fresh Prince of like if you could do Fresh Prince of Bel Air, you could probably do Family Matters. But the one that immediately jumped to me for some reason was Step by Step. The idea of like blended families kind of coming together. I would love to see like the concept of a blended family in 2025, and how just because I just think the world that we live in is so vastly different. How kids are being raised these days are so vastly different. I would love to see like single parents that have two sets of kids, kind of brought together in regards to how that family sort of coexists and what the challenges of that sort of might be. And I think also just the construct of how people push the concept of nuclear families, or you have to have a mom and dad, and I just think that concept from Step by Step would hold up really well, and I think it'd be interesting with just a new generation of kids for 2025 and how that family comes together. So that'd probably be something I'd be interested in seeing. Dragon Ball Super's first two. Oh, speaking of fresh Bel Air drama. One, I am surprised that show has lasted as long as it has. It's had a few seasons, to be honest with you. But they also dropped this great clip. I don't know if this was from the finale of Bel Air, where Will Smith pops up in the movie, and he has a conversation with Will from the series itself. Like I think it's the end. I think it's like the new Will is like looking at Bel Air from like a hilltop or something like that, looking at the city, contemplating his life and stuff. And then Will Smith kind of walks up to check out the view also, and it's the two of them having a conversation. It's very meta, in the sense of like Will trying to give advice to this kid who's kind of looking out at his city and where his life is going to kind of take him in. It just kind of feels like Will Smith is talking to himself and some of the things he would have loved to have told himself back in the day as well. Very, very meta. And but it really worked. I thought it was really beautiful scene. So yeah, I am surprised that show has lasted as long as it did, but congratulations to it.
That's really cool. I remember one pitch I heard for a Prince of Bel-Air reboot that it would have been funny if Jaden Smith was a lot younger, but obviously now he's a full adult, so I don't think it would work as well. But the idea is it would be the premise of Prince of Bel-Air, but completely reversed, whereas like Will Smith is raising Jaden Smith, but like Jaden Smith is becoming way too spoiled, way too relaxed in his like easy life. So instead of moving him to like kind of Bel Air, they move from Bel Air to his older neighborhood, where now he has to like fit in with a whole new kind of a different environment.
I kind of think that idea. I would love to have seen Jaden in that role. I think that'd be kind of dope. Marcy also says Dragon Ball Super's first two seasons are immensely criticized for its low animation and its story being dragged on compared to the movies Battle of the Gods or Resurrection F. However, what is something that the TV show did better than the movies? One example I think of is Tagoma. To recap, Tagoma is one of Frieza's lackeys, and his appearance was a tall, slender, light purple alien. In the movie, he only gets 3 lines of dialogue and is killed off by Frieza after he questions his motives by seeking revenge on Goku, and instead of conquering the rest of the universe. In the TV show, they had to expand his role where he was used as Frieza's training dummy, which in turn made him stronger and developed a sadistic personality where he kills on his teammates in order to critically injure Gohan and prove challenging for the Z fighters. I'm not trying to imply that this is amazing, well-written characters, because he does ultimately fall from grace where Gotenks kicks in the balls and Captain Ginyu switches bodies with him to escape from his body. But my point is that compared to how his movie counterpart was treated, he was better utilized in this show. So if you remember the 2 Dragon Ball Super movies and the 2 seasons of Dragon Ball Super, what is something that the TV show did better than the movies, you think?
That was definitely one of them, bringing back. Okay, here's the thing. I think that like they both did stuff that I wish was in the movie, but they also don't do them very well. So like that was definitely one of them. Like I love the fact that they gave him more screen time and they used him as a way to bring back Captain Ginyu. I freaking love that. I also thought they didn't do anything with that, unfortunately, because it was just like he was gone the moment he came back. So it felt pointless. It felt like kind of pointless fan service, but like I love that they, kind of brought it there. And I think that apart from that, the other thing is it kind of made no sense for the big fight in the Resurrection F arc for them to leave Goten and Trunks out of it. They say that the explanation in universe is that the 2 of them are too dumb and they might end up getting themselves killed. But it's like, literally relied on the two of them to save the entire world, during the final Dragon Ball Z arc. You kind of like heavily put all that pressure on them. And now, during this battle where the pressure doesn't have to be completely on their shoulders, you're like, oh no, you two fuck off. We don't want you. So I don't know. I think that was kind of weird in the movie. So I like that Goten and Trunks like came to the battlefield anyways. But again, just like with what I brought up with Captain Ginyu, they didn't do much with them. He appears as Gotenks for a brief moment and then he leaves. And I'm like, oh, why? Why would you tease me like this, Dragon Ball Super? So yeah, I think that like my overall answer is it doesn't really do anything better than the movies did, because the times where they do change stuff, they don't commit to those changes. They're like a small tweak, but then those tweaks go away and then we're back to them just copying the movies but with worse animation.
Well, I'll let your response be the official response for this one. It's been so long since I've watched both of these movies, honestly, or even the first two seasons. I don't even remember what I liked about the TV show over the movie, to be honest with you. I'm usually a fan of appreciating the TV show in regards to drawing out for more character development, more focus on some of the side characters and things like that. But I barely remember. I think I've only seen those two movies once, and both of the seasons once. I barely remember. So sorry about that, Marcelo, but I appreciate you answering that one, Stu.
I've seen the movies multiple times, but yeah, I never went back to the TV show versions of it. I'm like, no, if I ever want to rewatch this, I'm going for the movies.
The movies, yeah. It was. I do remember it being really slow paced and thinking to myself, like, what's the point of this? So yeah, I probably was a more fan of the movies themselves.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Then we'll move on. I will give credit where credit's due in one aspect. The animation was going to suck for the first two arcs regardless, because half the animators were like busy working on the One Piece movie, and that's why the animation quality dipped. So I will say this: I would rather that animation quality dip be for the two arcs that are just copy and paste of the movie, instead of when they actually were doing original storylines, which to me is when the animation quality actually majorly improved.
He also says, last question from Marcelino. My mother was vocal about how much she hated Supergirl's cameo, saying it felt like how men used to write women. And I've seen a lot more people, particularly women, hate the portrayal of Supergirl. Many people, especially women, have said it feels like the old days of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s of how men would write women, where basically female character flaws would make them super unlikable and incompetent, where male characters' flaws would make them more relatable and they wouldn't come off as incompetent. To be clear, these people that I'm talking are in no way the same kind of people who say Millie Alcock is ugly. These criticisms are genuine. The line of her saying bitch they found to be cringe. While they understand it's important to portray female characters as being flawed, they felt as though there was misogynistic bias where Superman isn't portrayed the levels as incompetence, but Supergirl is. Whenever the argument of the Supergirl movie written by a female writer is brought up, it comes across as gaslighting. So these arguments aren't being listened to, and to portray them as whiny brats. And the other argument is that even if it's written by a female writer, that doesn't mean the movie will be good. And it's important who hired, which was a man, meaning to them, it feels like the guy who wrote and directed Superman hired a certain female who agrees with his viewpoints. It soured their taste that they refused to go to the theaters and support it. I listened to a lot of these arguments. Honestly, I greatly respect, and I think these need to be talked about more, but comic book community always downgrades. They label them as snowflake feminist Nazis. I've never heard that before, but okay. They say things like, you don't read comics, so you have no say. Go read a comic. Don't criticize something that is accurate to the comics, and all the other kinds of mean comments. But the point I wanted to make is that even though we may like how Supergirl was portrayed, I think it's important to get outside of our inner bubble to different perspectives of how people view it, and maybe even question some tough things about ourselves.
I'm going to go the opposite route and question the internal bias that the people who see Supergirl and then jump to these conclusions might have. It's that whole thing of like, you're comparing them to how women were written in these 60s 70s movies to be very unlikable and everything, and so therefore when a character is when a female character might have been written that way, they may have had certain phrases or certain mannerisms that like we saw in Supergirl, and so our minds just naturally associated it with that. That's not the movie's problem, that's our own internal bias problem.
Yes.
That's us connecting dots because last time we've seen this is what it came off as. So I think even with that argument, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to dismiss it and say that like everyone who didn't like her portrayal is sexist. I'm just saying that we have these ideas where like when we see certain things that line up with something else, our brain connects it, even if that's not necessarily the connection that is going to be there. It may want us, maybe they want us to have that connection. They want us to go into this movie thinking that she's meant to be unlikable, so that way as her character develops, she becomes more of the Supergirl that you would want to see as like a role model to kids out there. But it's just not going to be like what we see from the beginning. I think that I think that's like kind of the issue, is that like we're comparing her with that little tiny bit of screen time, and we're making these big connections that I don't think are necessarily there quite yet. I think it would be better to like wait to see how the full movie comes out. So that all being said, I'm not going to automatically be like, oh, if you don't like this, you're sexist. Like I can kind of see where you're coming from with that perspective. I just think that it really comes from our own internal bias than it does from like how it's actually portrayed.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think when he mentions this comment where basically female character flaws can make them super unlikable and incompetent, where male character flaws will make them more relatable, and they wouldn't come off as incompetent. My question is, why would that be though? Mm-hmm. Right? Like if you're still giving both of these characters the same particular flaws, but you look at a female unlikable and incompetent, and you don't look at the man the same way, why is that? I think that's really the big question. Is really our own biases as to what we personally feel a woman and a man should be portrayed as. I mean, look, to each their own in regards to how they want to feel that way, but everybody should have character flaws. But if a male character has flaws and you don't give him that same level of unlikability and competence, but you want to feel that way about a woman when she feels the same way, I mean, why do you feel that way? And yeah, so I have no problem with how they are portrayed. I think for me, it really comes down to what the motivation of the story is going to be. What is the life lesson that is learned? What is the character arc that this person takes away from? I saw another movie this year also, Stuart, that when I watched it, I immediately knew people were going to be upset about it, that there was going to be a portion of people that were going to be upset about it. And it was the movie One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
And the main character in there, very sexualized. The black woman, very sexualized, had a very sexual relationship with Leo DiCaprio's character, used her female prowess to get what she needed out of the military guy also. And I just thought to myself, when I watched it, I know there are going to be people out there that are going to be like, man, why are they gonna write this woman this way? It's another male writer writing a woman sexually. And my thing is, well, what if that woman embraces her sexuality?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, are there not women out there that don't have the ability to embrace who they are? That yes, maybe the public may look down upon them for it, but if they know it's going to get them what they want, and they know that they can utilize this to their advantage, and maybe she's just a sexual person by nature. Are you trying to tell me that there are not people in this world that live that way or live those kind of experiences? Does that make her a bad character because she's flawed, and she's flawed in the way that maybe some people just don't like? But if a guy was written that way, how would you feel about it? Oh, that's just a guy being a guy, right? Like, yeah, I can relate to that, right? Like, this is the things that I'm talking about. Like, it's okay to have people flawed. And honestly, after everything that this character does, she's not a likable character, if you ask me. But that's the way she's meant to be written, because I think because of the way that she's written, her actions also cause ripple effects to people in her lives and affect people in certain ways. That's storytelling. That's using the character's traits and flaws to build other characters also. It's not necessarily, yes, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and stuff were written in a particular way. But I also do think it's important that just because we're in 2025, we have to act like no female character can have flaws, that all women are perfect, or that all men are perfect, because then we get into this Mary Sue conversation again whatsoever. So you have to allow characters to have flaws, and you have to allow those flaws to eventually be learned from or not be learned from. And if people want to take those first impressions that they have of people and judge them a particular way, that says more about the person than I think it does the writing. And I think sometimes that's just our interpersonal biases kind of coming out, that there are things that we accept as okay for male characters and not okay for women characters. And the question should be, why is that allowed?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's the big question. So it's not like, look, yes, maybe there are going to be some people that dismiss those different perspectives and stuff, but I am trying to really take their perspective into accountability. And when I take those perspectives into account, it just makes me ask, why? If you gave Superman those same flaws, why would you not have a problem with it being Superman, with it being Superman? But yet have a problem with it being Supergirl. So I think it's okay for characters to have flaws, and I think we should give these characters the grace to see how the story plays out before we judge them immediately. But yeah.
Yeah.
AJ, the Morphin Grid, legacy of Toby Slambrook. Was he completely developed and trustworthy character? Toby Slambrook, the eccentric and outgoing manager of the Rockporium in Mystic Force, was a surprisingly developed and trustworthy character whose journey went from comedic suspicion to staunch ally. He initially struggled with his employees' constant unexplained absences, leading to humorous disbelief when they truthfully admitted that they were Power Rangers. However, Toby consistently demonstrated a good nature, from reassuring the teens he was a friend first after the teens believed they lost the store's $1,000 rent money, to his open-minded hiring of the half-troll and half-goblin Phineas. The true culmination of his development arrived after he accidentally witnessed the Rangers morph, choosing to honor their secret and grant them freedom to save the city. This trustworthiness peaked in the finale, where his leadership, reminiscent of Bulk and Skull's final heroic act, united the human citizens of Briarwood with the magical creatures to restore the Rangers' powers, solidifying his role as an essential non-powered hero. Given his full arc from oblivious boss to secret keeper, human magic liaison, and friend, do you believe Toby Slambrook's final arc truly cemented him as the most effective and surprising civilian ally in Power Ranger history?
Before I answer that question, I just want to say that when they rebooted that 70s show into that 90s show, the one character that they never brought back was Hyde, and obviously it was because of the actor, which totally understandable. I would not want to work with that guy at all, so totally get that. They should have brought the actor that played Toby to play Hyde, because I think he would have been perfect. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. He very much had that kind of Bulk and Skull type of character arc where he's there for our laughs, like for a majority of the show. But there is that heart that's kind of like hinted at in the very beginning of when we see him. Like we see him as like kind of a strict boss who's funny and everything like that. And honestly, he has every right to be pissed off at his employees if they're constantly disappearing without telling him why. So like I loved his character in Power Rangers Mystic Force. I think that arc at the end of him, wanting to do the right thing, it didn't come out of nowhere. It made total sense, just like with Bulk and Skull. Although with Bulk and Skull, it was definitely a longer process because unlike even though Bulk and Skull were comedic relief like him, they were also bullies. So there's definitely had a bigger impact, but that's because they had 5 seasons worth of materials compared to him only being 1 season. But with that 1 season, I think that like the way they wrote his arc worked really well. I miss the days of Power Ranger comedic relief having really good arcs.
Yeah, I dig it. Appreciate it, AJ. Marky Parco, did you guys know that in the 2003 film Holes, the intensely crunchy sound when Stanley and Zero ate the onions makes perfect sense because the props were actually apples covered in an edible wrapper. This clever substitution ensured the actors could film the scene without the overpowering taste of raw onions, providing a great visual and audio effect for the audience. This kind of behind the scenes trickery is fascinating. Do you know any other movie scenes where one food was swapped out for another? The only thing, I don't know about food, but the one thing that always comes to mind when I think of this is alcohol. Being swapped out for another. In this case, it was backwards for Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. I think he thought it was
right.
He thought it was something else inside the bottle, and then when he went to go take a sip, it was actual alcohol. So the spit was very real. As Michael J. Fox was pretty surprised it was actual alcohol in it. So that's one thing that I remember as reverse swap out. To actually be what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. I can also think of another time it was what it was supposed to be, and that was in the Hunger Games when they were eating raw fish. That was apparently actually raw fish that they were eating, and apparently Jennifer Lawrence doesn't like fish in general, so that was her least favorite scene to film.
Yeah, the food thing for movies always fascinated me. I think that's a great one, Marky Parco. So thank you for highlighting that. That's just great prop work and great for sound effects stuff. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm always fascinated when actors have food in front of them and they have to eat. Like, how many takes do they do? How much food do they eat during this? Like, do they get full filming some of these scenes? I've always been kind of fascinated by that and how something like that works out. But
they often have like buckets that they'll toss around like in between takes. So if it's like a scene that they're going to be doing multiple takes on, and the actor will probably not want to be eating every single take, they'll like basically chew on the food, but then the moment the camera cuts,
they'll spit it out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. That's good to know. My friends call me Joseph. Is it me, or do you guys feel that the MCU films released after Endgames haven't quite reached the same heights of quality or cultural impact, perhaps largely because they no longer feature the core presence of Iron Man or Captain America? While films like No Way Home and Thor have certainly been significant, some view the post-Endgame era as a period where foundational storytelling of Stark and America era feels definitively concluded. Adam, do you think the MCU's current phase needs a major new overarching villain and storyline, similar to how Thanos connected the early films to recapture the old excitement? And Stuart, which of the post-game films do you feel has been the most successful in establishing a compelling and sustainable new direction for the MCU?
Ooh. I'll let you go first.
Do I think the MCU's current phase needs a major new overarching villain and story? Well, look, to be fair, we're so deep into the woods right now for this current phase that, look, if it's going to be Doctor Doom, it's got to be Doctor Doom. I just hope that they have formulated a compelling story that leads to Doctor Doom. I don't necessarily know if the foundational storytelling of Stark in America, if their absence is what has hurt Endgame, has hurt the MCU, so much as its quick expansion into quantity over quality. I think they've kind of, because of all the success that they had, warranted. I can understand their expansion, but I also do think in hindsight, if they had a more coherent level of storytelling, you probably could still make as impactful as as when you had Iron Man and Captain America. I do think it's a little bit more of an uphill battle, but I refuse to believe that you didn't still have great star power around you that you could make really compelling storyline going forward if um, orchestrated and architected much better than what it was. So, like I said, for this current phase, we're so deep towards the end of this new saga that look, it's going to be Doctor Doom or nothing. But I do hope that come the next saga, whether that be a mutant villain or whatever the case may be, that they have a more coherent and tighter path to developing these characters to get to that big bad going forward.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that in the sense of I think like the big problem was that with the success of Endgame, I think Marvel wanted to keep the momentum going, but they didn't realize that the kind of hype died down after Endgame. Not died down as in like fans just stopped caring, but died down as in like we just had our 4-course meal. We're good. We're good for
Yeah.
a bit. And I think that what Marvel/Disney should have done was slow down the release, but they did the opposite. They quadrupled down the release, and it worked at first only because of COVID. Like the only reason WandaVision and the first couple MCU movies had the huge hype that it did was because we hadn't had any movies in like over a year. So of course, it makes sense that Marvel will be the first thing that people would go to. But it very much like very fastly, like people started to get fatigued of it because they were setting up so many different plot threads and it didn't feel coherent anymore. And I think that if we had been in where we were with phase 3, that would have worked just fine. But I think with it being phase 4, and we just finished this huge 4-course meal, and now you're trying to give us like another 4-course meal, like right from the beginning. Like you're not even trying to like tease us first with a couple of appetizers. You're immediately going like, okay, here's the next 4-course meal. We need you to consume it all as soon as possible because we have all these other meals coming for you. We got this meal from this TV show. We got this meal from this movie, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that it was just how they released it, way too fast was part of the issue. But yeah, in terms of me, what I think were some of the better movies that came out during post Endgame. So I got 2 answers. One of them, of course, being Shang-Chi, which was absolutely incredible. I have complained about the final act, specifically the final fight at the very end, just because I didn't think it was necessary, and it kind of took away from the emotional aspect of it between Shang-Chi and his father. But apart from that, I thought it was an incredible film. The other answer, and this is going to get me a lot of hate, I know, because everyone hated this movie. I freaking loved Eternals, man. I do not get the hate behind that movie. It makes no sense to me. I thought it was a pretty cool direction to take it in. I kind of wished that like other Marvel projects in the future, because the whole reason the movie looked as incredible as it did, the reason it had so much more production behind it, was because it felt like this was one that they actually took their time to make, and that's why the visual effects looked absolutely incredible in this film. And it kind of feels like other Marvel movies, they just kind of rushed them. They were like, oh yeah, we need it done by this time, and so the visual effects, of course, got a lot worse. The script rewrites kind of just felt messy, but I feel like Eternals was like that exception, where it was like that was the movie that they actually took their time with, like in terms of writing and in terms of VFX.
Yeah, thank you for being brave enough to say the Eternals. I appreciate that, Stewie. Nathaniel, should the potential new The Mummy film be a modern reimagining or stick to the original style? The return of Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz for a 4th installment is exciting news for fans of the original adventure tone, although negatively reviewed. A reference to the Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor would honor its place in this series and Jet Li's unique villain turn. The current rumors suggest the new film may disregard the third movie's events and serve as a direct sequel to The Mummy Returns. Yeah, I haven't heard those rumors, Nathaniel, so we'll have to wait and see. Should the potential Mummy film be modern reimagining or stick to the original style? I kind of dig the original style, but I'm wondering how much time has passed since then, and if if maybe the original style is a little outdated, or I don't know what you necessarily mean by original style. I'm thinking of like cinematography, set design, like just the clothing and things like that. Maybe means like pacing, but I don't know. I would be curious as to like how far into the future now this movie is going to be.
Yeah, I think that in terms of its style, I kind of hope it goes more in the route of the first movie, where you have a lot of comedy, but I feel like the horror elements completely like went away during the second movie. I still enjoy the second movie, don't get me wrong. And then I never usually say this when it comes to revitalizing franchises, because usually I'm the kind of person that's like, no, don't try to like cover up, your missteps, embrace them, try to, if anything, maybe recontextualize them. So in like a looking back, it's not as bad as we once thought or something like that. But I got to make an exception with The Mummy 3. No, go ahead and just completely disregard that movie. I don't care. Just pretend that movie didn't happen and make this a direct sequel to The Mummy 2. I'm totally fine with that, because Tomb of the Dragon was like, it's honestly, if I were to make a top 10, top 20 list, it would be probably my top, if not my top 10, my top 20 worst films of all time.
Wow, I don't even know if I've seen that one before, but maybe it'll be on my radar and see, just so I can see what it was like.
Yeah.
Jessica Fryman, do you think Disney Plus could get the rights to past seasons of Power Rangers and put them on Disney Plus for new and old fans to watch, and maybe the rights to VR Troopers, Beetleborgs, and Masked Rider? And do you think Korra could get her own movie adaptation after the Aang movies? And did you see the teaser trailer for the live action Avatar series? Yeah, Stuart talked a little bit about the teaser trailer for live action. You think Korra can get her own movie adaptation?
I think that's going to completely depend on how the Aang
Aang.
movie does, but I kind of hope so, especially seeing where this new Avatar show is going to be taking place, how it's like supposed to be it's supposed to be the third Avatar, and apparently the world is really pissed off at Korra. It's like, that sounds like something big really happened, happened after the events of Legend of Korra. So it's like, I really want to see what happened. So if we get that in the form of flashbacks, okay, but I kind of want to see that in the form of a movie personally.
I am kind of curious as to who has the rights for past seasons of Power Rangers.
You can watch them all currently on Tubi for free.
Tubi. Are they still on YouTube also? They were on YouTube for a period of time. I wonder if they're still on YouTube.
They probably are.
I don't know if Disney Plus would pay for the rights to have them on there. I mean, they're just a distributor. The show is still being produced by Hasbro, but Disney Plus is just a distribution system that they're putting them on. So I don't know. I don't know if Disney would want to acquire the rights to it as of right now. Most talented man in the world. What do you think about Lindsay Lohan voicing an adult Maggie Simpson and her speaking for the first time in a flash forward episode of the series? The Simpsons being the longest running American animated series of all time is an unparalleled television milestone that speaks to its universal humor and lasting cultural impact. While some fans worry these big changes might signal an impending end, the show's incredible longevity and willingness to still try new things is admirable. Yeah, didn't the lady that did the voice for who did for Marge passed away, right?
It was the French voice actress for Marge who passed away. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know Lindsay Lohan was voicing an adult Maggie Simpson and a flash forward. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I haven't seen too many episodes of The Simpsons in like a long time. But like in the episodes that I've always seen, whenever they do like the flash forward episodes, they constantly like will have like an excuse to not have Maggie talk. Like from what I remember, in fact, there was like one where I think they just randomly put a pacifier in her mouth and or something. So yeah, this is kind of cool. It's been like so many years of Simpsons. This is kind of a cool idea. Lindsay Lohan being the first one to like officially voice act the character.
Yeah, I kind of dig it. Blossom, great to see you guys back. If you want to make a Power Rangers Christmas episode out of the Sentai's never adapted, which one would you use? Oh God, I'm terrible at Christmas ones.
I do, because like I don't remember too much about the other Christmas Sentais, but I do remember Go-Kaigers, specifically because I actually really like the green and red Power Ranger suit that they used in that episode, so I would adapt that one.
Nice, I like it. I will stick with that answer because I can't remember off the top of my head. Tony Robinson, did you guys see James Gunn making Power Girl a part of the main DCU instead of having her being from another Earth? Oh, do you guys see James Gunn making Power Girl a part of the main DCU instead of her being from another Earth? I think she probably would still be from another Earth. Um, I'm sure she probably will have that backstory if and when she's ever adapted into the DCU, but I haven't heard anything of her being in the DCU. I mean my fan casting for Power Girl has always been Sydney Sweeney, but whether or not that happens or not, I have no idea. But I think it's almost pivotal though that Power Girl be from another Earth as her backstory. I mean, that's really what makes her uniquely Power Girl in the DC comics right now is because of her being from another Earth and her past being different from Kara Zor-El of DCU. So I think it's almost imperative that she is going to be from another Earth when she's introduced.
I'll go the opposite route and say it is. I don't have an opinion on how it's going to happen one way or another, but I will say that like James Gunn has said that he did like that he has taken inspiration from the animated side of the DC universe, including like the Bruce Timm animations, and in that Power Girl was a clone instead of like a Supergirl from another universe. So I could kind of see him go in that direction too. And I will say pre jeans commercials, I probably would have gone with Sweeney Todd. That would have been perfect. But
Sweeney Todd.
yeah, now I'm kind of going with I'm leaning more towards it would be cool to see Melissa Benoist if she wanted to return to the role. But like in the movie format.
I dig it. I dig it. Tony Robinson, what do you think Lanterns will when do you think the Lanterns will drop its first teaser trailer? That I don't know. I mean, if we're talking teaser, we kind of already got it in that 10-second clip. That's probably as good of a teaser as you'll see. I think maybe anything more than that, if maybe the next big convention that DC Studios might be a part of, we might get. It's so funny because that tease dropped, and then Warner Brothers teased that there was going to be more of Lantern shown later on that day. Like they put out a picture of like computer files with different series on it, and they had release times for later on that day when they were going to release more things, and it said Lanterns 3 p.m. or something like that. Tell me why. So people were like, oh, we're going to get the first teaser trailer for it also on top of what HBO Max was previewing. Tell me why 3 o'clock comes and it's like Aaron Pierre, so like a selfie video saying thanking the fans. It's like, here's our first look at Lanterns, and it's literally the same thing HBO Max released. People were pissed, bro. People like marketing fumble as you possibly like. I waited all afternoon for another look at Lanterns, and it's literally Aaron Pierre presenting the same footage. Yo, sinful. So man, anyway, I had to complain and bitch about that.
Of course. No, I didn't hear about that, but that would have disappointed me too.
Do you think all the big films will be able to eat because some of them are close to each other? I'm assuming maybe release dates. I think as long as there's a 2-week gap, I think you're fine, personally. Anything closer than that, then you're cannibalizing yourselves, I think. The idea of releasing this, like I think Dune and Avengers Doomsday were scheduled to come out the same day, but I think Dune just announced it was moving its release date recently, which I think was for the best. Somebody had to move because they would have just cannibalized each other. But I think if they're like, I personally would like a month separate, but I think the window is maybe 2 weeks because you probably will make the most of your income within that 2-week period. But anything closer than that, scary. I think somebody did I think Doomsday did say he dropped some questions. How far exactly are you in Cosmic Fury? I'm just asking so I know what kind of question to ask in the future that won't involve potential spoilers. Doomsday at this point, bro, just any question. Like, just if anything, I'll give the question to Stuart to answer. But yeah, feel free to answer and ask any questions that you want. What are your thoughts on all the unnecessary backlash the new Supergirl trailer is getting from mainly, you guessed it, the Snyder cult? It's really reprehensible. Like, it's just really disgusting stuff, dude, that I've seen. It's just this very misogynistic sort of put her back in the kitchen. She is ugly. Look at that jaw. She's such a WHORE. Like, I literally have seen stuff like that on my Facebook page, dude. It's like really unnerving. Not people with like just legit criticisms of what they're watching in the trailer, but just hateful stuff, dude. It's pretty sick.
Like, if it's someone who's complaining in kind of the similar aspect of what Marcelino kind of shared with his live viewer question, I won't think anything less of that person. I'll disagree with them, but that's totally fine. But like when I hear people complaining because oh, she's ugly, or something along those lines, when they're commenting more about her look than they are about her performance, that's where I'm just like, I do not give a crap what you have to say.
Yeah, I can't take it seriously. Yeah, like your opinion is invalid to me at that point,
Exactly.
It really drives me crazy. But thank you for the questions, Doomsday. But yeah, anything about Cosmic Fury, send it over at this point. Don't even worry about it, bro. If Stuart's here, he'll answer it for sure. Before we go, just to clarify some last couple comments, they're not saying female characters having flaws is the problem. It's the type of flaws that are problematic. But I mean, my argument would still be the same. Okay, so like, okay, Supergirl being an alcoholic. So would Superman being an alcoholic be a problem for people?
That would be a problem for me, actually.
Like how would people just be like, like they're probably like, oh, he's a superhero. He saves the day all day. Hard life. Who would make excuses for him if if Supergirl smoked weed? But it was Superman instead. It's okay. It's a hard life being a superhero. The man's got like 3 kids. He's got like a whole super family he's got to worry about. Like if she was a sex addict or something like that, right? But you put that on Superman. He likes sex or something. Oh, it's Superman just being a man. It's just it's just the thing guys do. So I don't think the flaws matter, bro. I think at the end of the day, people will always find other reasons to like have an issue with the woman having the flaw, like you said. But if it's Superman or another male character that has the flaw, they don't view that character the same way. And my question is, why is it acceptable for us to look down on a woman for having flaws, but if a man has a particular type of flaw, like some flaws women can have are okay, but certain flaws are not? I mean, that's what is that? I mean, come on. Do we hear what we're saying here?
This is the type of flaw, or the type of flaw that I would totally agree with, that would come off as more sexist than anything else, is if like her flaw was she only saw herself as like a woman and nothing more. If like her character was like, oh, I can't do what Superman does because I'm just a girl, even though I have the exact same power sets. Or if it was something like, man, I'm so mad that so many people take me seriously. I wish more people would take me, you would see me as a sexy woman rather than a superhero. That is the type of dated flaw that would be bad writing, where I would totally be on board with people going, oh yeah, no, this is very sexist. But that's not what they go for. They go for her being an alcoholic,
which is a flaw that anybody can have.
Anyone. It doesn't matter your gender. Anyone can be an alcoholic. They go for her clearly being the kind of person that keeps an arm's distance from people, and she uses a lot of profanity. She, if anything, and I don't want to try to say that it's a ripoff. I don't want to try to say that they're exactly the same, because I'm sure once we see the movie, we're going to see a lot of differences. She's similar to Star-Lord. Like, if I have any issues with her, but I don't have those issues with Star-Lord, that's me being sexist, honestly. Because a lot of her flaws are very similar to Star-Lord's.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, it just comes down to the internal biases that we have, or what's okay for a female to be able to do, or issues that a female can have, but a guy doesn't get treated that same way, when, or we find excuses to find that more acceptable. But yeah, these are just flaws that everybody deals with. A woman could be married and lose her family in a terrible car crash, and she doesn't know how to handle it, so she falls into alcoholism or abusing drugs. You don't tell me that that happens on a to anybody in this world. So it's not fair that she represents herself. She's got to hide her pain from the rest of the world in order for society to accept her as a human being now, because she went through a tragic accident and moment in her life, sort of thing, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. Like, that's really what we're talking about here. Not just a regular person, not somebody being a superhero. So yeah, I just think, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, there is a type of flaw that women characters can have that I will find very sexist, but I haven't seen that in a movie in a long time. So I don't see it happening anytime. I definitely don't see it happening under James Gunn's belt.
And he says, and to correct you, there are a lot of people who hated Star-Lord from the beginning, who was that hated that he was a womanizer, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's fine. Like, people's flaws, like, you don't have to like those aspects about the character. I don't necessarily know if he's utilizing that character to be like, oh, everybody's gonna love a womanizer. No, I'm sure some people are gonna be turned off by some of these personality traits and flaws that these characters have, and that's the point, though. That is the point of characters with flaws. So, we can't ask people to be, not that people ask some of these people to be perfectionists, but just the reality of, like, personality traits and characters are acceptable when it comes to their flaws. It's part of every human being. And we have to be okay with that. Like, it is just what it is. But anyway.
What it comes down to is that as long as these flaws are looked at as flaws and not a positive thing, which is something that is super dated about, like the old Sean Connery, James Bond movies, that's where, I think it's fine to give these characters terrible flaws. It's great that they made Star-Lord a misogynist kind of asshole, because then when we see him in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he's just so much more of a sympathetic character because we see what he grows from. I think that, like, what he became like during Avengers Infinity War was like so perfect, because it was like he had finally gotten his life together. He finally figured out like where he could find happiness, only for that happiness to be ripped away from him. So for him to kind of relapse in the third movie, it just made it that much more heartbreaking, because we saw what he could be, and then we see him go back to what he was in the first movie.
Yeah, that's a great comparison there. But yeah, guys, that will do it for our show, I think. I think I'm done with this topic now. I think we've really, like, brought home just the point of what we're trying to make, though, in regards to it. But guys, look, at the end of the day, thank you so much for certainly joining us for another great episode here of A+ Hero Report. We are getting close to the holiday season, as far as I know. The 21st, I would like to certainly still have a show. I don't know if you're going out of town or if you're going to be busy. I would certainly still like to have a show next weekend. But we'll definitely keep you posted. As of right now, we'll have a show. If Stuart joins me or not, I'll definitely be here next week, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted. I know he's got some jury duty. I know there's a couple of videos we want to try and record for you guys before the end of the year, so don't worry, those are still headed your way. But we'll certainly keep you guys posted in that regards. But Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Instagram and Letterboxd and TikTok.
And just so you guys know, we will be dropping, if there's any big news, any big trailers throughout the week. If I have time, I'll definitely be posting videos up on our YouTube page, giving you my reaction and reviews to those. So subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so yet. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so when we do drop brand new videos, you guys will certainly be notified. If you want to follow us on social media, we're a little bit of everywhere. Over here on the side at Hero Report, over on TikTok if you want. We post a lot of trailers and stuff, behind the scenes footage. We also do like comic book hauls of the week for you guys. I might drop some reviews and some discussion videos myself over there, but everywhere else on social media down below at A Plus Opinions. We are very active over on our Facebook page. That's where we drop all the news throughout the week to keep you updated on a weekly basis. News articles, trailers, posters, behind the scenes featurettes, and things like that. We keep you posted all week long on the Facebook page, and then we take 6 topics from there and we talk about them here at A Plus Hero Report on our YouTube channel. So follow us everywhere on social media. But other than that, that will do it for us here, guys. We'll certainly see you guys next weekend. So until next time, do us a big favor as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A Plus. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.